Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
Danger is real. Podcasting's a choice.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you. This is the first one you've been proud of.
I liked it.
In a long time. Hi, everybody. I'm Griffin Newman.
I'm David Sims.
This is Griffin and David.
You did it wrong. This is Blank
Present.
Check.
That was our old name. I force a habit.
This is Blank Check Podcast.
With Griffin and David.
Sure.
The Blank Check Podcast. We go through filmographies of directors.
Yeah, who are crazy.
And often people who had big success early on and now get a blank check to do whatever they want.
Perfect.
Film after film after film.
Especially with this guy.
Especially
film
this
after
guy.
film after film after film after film.
This guy is M. Night Shyamalan.
Yep.
And this is a miniseries called Pod Night Shyamacast.
Great.
Got through it all very quickly today.
And we have a guest.
And we have a guest. Oh, my God. Our guest. I'm so excited. We've talked about how we're trying to create collections with our guests.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Right?
Sure, yeah.
There's certain pools of people that we
we're
respect.
playing bingo. We're getting
playing
all
bingo.
the...
We're
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
get the certain lines through. My favorite podcast, which we've
the
referenced
best
a
podcast.
lot on this show.
Yep.
Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood. Great podcast. I recommend to anyone who's not already listening to it. We had John Braylock on our
Great episode.
Revenge of the podcast.
Yeah, on the Clone Wars episode.
Yes.
On the Tartakovsky. Yeah, it was a great episode.
Back when we were a Star Wars podcast. Yep. And now we have our second host of that show. We have two out of the three. We got one more to go. But this is James III.
Hello.
Comedian, actor extraordinaire.
Yes.
Podcast co-host James III.
Yes. Who made a brief appearance on the live show? Am I wrong?
Yes,
He did.
I was
Yes.
there. For
Yes.
that.
James is there in the live show, so
technically returning guest.
And you know him. At this point, you're comfortable with
Everybody knows
You
who I
watched that
am.
live show. You know him.
Everyone knows me now.
Now this was the second we decided we were going to do M. Night Shyamalan.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through.
Yeah,
and
no, so the second we were talking about it, you were like, oh, I know who we need for after.
100%.
Yeah.
Because, James, you're a big Will Smith fan.
I'm a huge Will Smith fan.
Your podcast is about leading black men in major Hollywood films.
That's right.
And so Will Smith becomes, he's sort of,
we bring him up a lot.
he's the large
Comes
figure.
up a lot.
Yeah.
Right, because for people of our
For the
generation,
last 20 years.
he was the guy.
Yeah.
He was the guy. Yeah. And you talk about sort of how, to a detriment, he got so big that everyone went like, oh, we got one black guy in movies. We don't need other people.
We don't need anybody else.
Yeah,
Right.
possibly the most bankable, at least for 15 years.
There
For a
was a
good chunk of time.
I think
most
there was a
bankable star in
solid
Hollywood.
5-year period where he was uncontested the number one biggest star alive.
For sure.
There were times where he was like hovering, but
I think it's longer. But go anyway. It doesn't matter. Keep going.
I think there was a 5-year period.
Where it was like definite, guarantee, like just
100
you knew
mil.
he was
Right.
going to knock it out of the park.
Yep. Doesn't matter what he makes.
I think Ali was his last flop, and then between
Ollie's not a flop. Ollie did fine.
financially didn't do well. That was an expensive movie.
Yeah.
I love that movie. That
Great
was an
movie.
expensive movie. It didn't do well. But like year after that, he does Men in Black 2,
Yeah.
and he doesn't have a flop until 7 Pounds,
Right.
which wasn't a huge flop.
I see 7 Pounds as the end of Will Smith. Like it's like if he makes a movie, people went to see it.
yeah, that was the end of it.
Oh, yeah, that was for sure.
That movie was just too fucking weird for everybody to be like, oh, I gotta go see the jellyfish bathtub movie. Yeah.
But that's like, and it even did better than anyone
did better
else
than it
in the
definitely
jellyfish
should have done.
bathtub movie would have done.
On Box Office Mojo in the category jellyfish in a bathtub,
It's
it
ranked
is
number one.
Yeah.
And even if you adjust for inflation, it's still number
it
one.
is, yeah.
But 2002 to 2008, I would say, uncontested.
For sure.
Like
Will
6 years.
Smith.
He was the guy. No question. And before that, he'd already made
I would
Independence
say
Day. Men in Black.
96 to yeah, that's the thing. I would say.
I mean, yeah, it's like it's closely tied to like Fresh Prince also still being on the air kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like there's like an overlap there.
Well,
of
this
like
is,
when he was
right. He was the TV star of our childhood.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what I view as the arc. Okay, so it's like recording career, Fresh Prince, right? Then he starts doing small roles in like Made in America and 6 Degrees of Separation. Everyone's like, oh, Will Smith, good movie star, right?
Yeah.
Then Bad Boys happens, right? And this is
Sure.
all sort of like, he hasn't missed at this point.
Yeah.
So then you go like Bad Boys,
Doing great.
Independence Day.
No. Then it's Bad Boys, then Independence Day is like the most successful film ever made.
Right.
It's a big jump.
Yeah.
Bad
was
Boys
doing
is
that
like
with
a
my
nice
hands.
hit.
Of all
I wasn't
time,
doing that with my
Independence
hands.
Day.
Yeah, I realized this is an audio medium.
And then after that, it's except
Men
for
in
like
Black.
a couple. He's got like Bagger Vance in there
But
or whatever.
This is my point. This is my point. Is you go like Independence Day, humongous.
Yeah.
Men in Black,
Humongous.
humongous,
Yeah.
right? Then Enemy of the State does really fucking well.
For a crappy R-rated movie. It's an okay movie.
Right. And then Wild Wild West is like a disaster, but everyone goes to
makes
see
a lot of
Makes
money.
money.
Yeah.
But everyone hates it, right?
And it is #1 in the giant spider category.
That is
among
true.
Office Mojo.
Giant mechanical
for sure.
spider
Yeah.
and villain without a dick who only makes dick jokes, whose characterization
What
is
a weird
solely
movie.
based around his lack of a penis
God, what a movie that
and him
was.
building facsimile penises out of steampunk elements. But no, but see, I'd say that's like period 1, where it's like this guy only makes mega movies, right?
Yeah.
And then he has a couple flops in a row.
Yeah.
Right? Then he does like Bagger Vance is an all. He makes a couple dramas in a row that don't really connect in the same way.
Yeah, but he gets an Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, this is going to be kind of a Will Smith mini episode of this podcast.
We
'Cause
like
this is a
tracking
Will Smith
careers,
movie.
but this
isn't an
he's
M.
the
Night
dominant
movie.
auteur
Yeah.
of this film. So he like comes back, and then when he comes back in 2002, he does Men in Black 2.
Yep.
Then he does Bad Boys 2, and then it's just like
Yeah.
hit.
Robot's
Robots
Hitch.
in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Pursuit of Happiness makes a ton of money.
Yeah.
That's the thing I was going to
And
say.
then I Am Legend, which is his second most successful film.
Yes.
After Independence Day.
But
and
when-
is awesome. I love I Am Legend.
Yeah, I like it too. I heard it was bad though.
No, it's good.
Okay, see,
It's good. We like I Am Legend.
Yeah.
CGI is
Okay.
bad.
You're in a
The
safe
CGI is
space,
little
James.
bad.
Okay, good. Okay,
I Am Legend's really good.
I really liked I Am Legend.
I like it a lot. I'll say I think the moment where he has to kill the dog is the single best acting
yeah.
moment
I
of his
mean,
entire
it is.
career.
I mean, it doesn't like a dead dog is like the ultimate. I feel like that's like a trump card you can play for like a big emotion, but it's
sure,
great. It's a
but
great
that
He's
scene
great.
is nonverbal, close up of his face.
No, he
doing
should have been
this
Oscar
thing.
nominated
Yeah.
for I Am Legend.
And it's like there's no other movie star who could pull that off.
No.
But I think Pursuit of Happiness is the one that I think really shows what level he was at. Because, like, you go, Ali, well, it was a drama. It did all right for what it was. He got an Oscar nomination. No one expected it to play like a blockbuster. And then Pursuit of Happiness played like a fucking blockbuster.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
made
yeah.
$160 million domestic.
Right.
Like,
So at that point, it was like, oh, he works in any genre. Hitch was humongous.
Yeah.
And it was like he can do a romantic comedy, he can do a drama, he can do a sci-fi. Whatever he does, it's going to be a huge blockbuster.
Right.
Then 7 Pounds happens.
Well, there's
then
there's
Hancock.
Don't
What
forget
happened
Well,
is
Hancock.
I mean, there are other
so-
films in between.
No,
There's
just
iRobot.
Hancock
Yeah.
But that's the same year though. It's like Hancock happens.
Yes.
And it's like it makes a lot of money, but
Huge.
people are like, "This is the worst."
Right.
And you and I are on the same page about Hancock,
Right,
which is
yes.
that it's low-key kind of cool.
Yeah,
I
it's got
agree.
you're
Wait,
kinda
I'm on
like-
that page
oh,
too.
good, good,
yeah,
good.
I like Hancock.
But then 7 Pounds comes out, and like that same year, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh no,
Yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like it's just like,
no.
oh, we just saw 2 bad movies in a year, you
Oh,
know,
well.
like, and so people, yeah.
So what does he do? He doesn't make a film for 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years he's off the screen. Now, just to contextualize this a little bit,
It's true.
on your podcast, where I'd say,
Yeah.
what episode are you up to now?
Oh God, I don't know. I don't. I
Just
really
had an
don't
episode on the rundown.
But we just talked about, we just talked about Men in Black.
That's your most recent episode.
We just talked about Men in
which
Black,
I highly
yeah.
recommend from South by Southwest.
Oh yes, right.
But
Haven't
I'd,
listened to that
the
one yet.
first 2/3, I'd say, of your run so far,
Mhm.
you would at the end of every episode,
Yes, I would bring up the movie Hancock and ask
It's
if it's
great.
good.
Yep.
right? Braylock
Okay.
would say
Is
like,
Hancock a good
I
movie?
think anything else, and you would present it as if it was a serious question
Yes.
about the film, and then it would just be about Hancock.
Yes.
Then you finally covered Hancock.
Right.
Right.
You did a live show. You covered Hancock.
So now I'm asking about After Earth.
Mhm.
Right.
Is
So-
After Earth a good movie?
Yeah, but is After Earth a good movie though? So when
That is my girlfriend who listens to this podcast listens to James's podcast. That's the only thing she knows about After Earth. When I said we're doing an After Earth episode, she was like, "Oh, they keep talking about it on that catch up in Hollywood." Anyway,
So yeah, when we wrote
Shut
out
up.
the list, we wrote down all the Shyamalan movies. And we said who would be good guests for
oh,
these.
right,
It was like
we're
immediate,
looking
no question. No, but I think we're all
No,
tying
yeah.
everything together. So we're
Absolutely.
telling a couple stories concurrently in an efficient manner. So you were the immediate choice. Now this film, to contextualize the movie a little bit. So it's been 4 years. Will Smith's off the screen. Then he comes back and he does Men in Black 3,
Yeah.
which
He does.
was very safe.
Yes.
Right?
It's a super safe movie
Yeah.
to make because everyone knows the product. They know that it's done well in the past, but it's also like it's really weird what they choose to do with Men in Black.
Yeah,
3.
it is. It is. And it doesn't make enough money in this country. It makes tons of money worldwide because he's a big worldwide star.
Yeah. Well, 2 things.
And
I
also,
wanna
do
say.
you remember his giant trailer that was like parked in Soho
Yes.
for like that was the
We
best.
need to talk about that a little bit.
So big.
But when he does the Bagger Vance Ali run, right, which is
Yeah.
after Wild Wild West, which I think he felt a little burned by, right? So he goes
and
into
he's
dramas.
publicly said like, "Fuck, I hate Wild." That
Right.
sucked. Yeah, he was
Right.
like,
So his response to that was, "I'm not going to do another big blockbuster. I'm going to make 2 dramas, and then I'm going to go back to safe territory." He made 2 sequels in a row.
Yeah.
He made Men in Black
Bad
2
Boys
and Bad Boys 2. And it was like, okay, I got the public. This is a zone I know they're comfortable with me in. I'm back on solid footing. Now I can take more chances again.
Yeah.
Same thing happened after 7 Pounds. He's like, I got to go back to a comfort zone. 4 years off, largely developing Jaden's career.
Yeah.
So he develops 2 projects at Sony. He goes, I want to make franchises for both my kids. Buys the rights to Karate Kid,
Yeah.
remakes it with his son Jaden, even though the
Huge
film
hit.
is humongous hit.
Huge
Yeah.
hit.
People don't talk about this enough. The Karate Kid was humongous.
And that is the #1 movie in the Box Office Mojo category of older Asian man rubs jelly into a young black boy's chest.
Oh, number one.
Number one.
That's great.
I remember I haven't never seen the Karate Kid totally, but I was watching it on TV. It was like on TV, on FX or whatever while I was doing. I looked up and Jackie Chan was just rubbing like oils into Jaden Smith's chest, his bare chest. That's all I know about that movie.
$175 million
Yep, huge
domestic.
Wow.
Huge oversight. Like, huge.
That's insane.
That's the thing.
$360 million.
I
worldwide.
didn't see it.
It's
Oh,
not,
okay.
It's not the best.
But-
I think it's fine.
It's fine.
I think it's totally fine.
It's what it should
I
be.
wanted to. I did see
Yeah,
it.
I'll say this. I think Jackie Chan's great in it.
Jackie Chan he's a pro.
He's a pro, but
You
he's
know,
got a couple
he's
dramatic
funny.
scenes he
Yeah.
really nails. And Jaden is like,
Jaden's fine. He's
good in
like
it.
a cute kid.
Yeah.
He's
He
like,
holds the
yeah,
screen well.
Mom, you
Yeah.
know, it's a lot of that.
yeah, but he's still. That's the thing. He's his last pre-puberty performance.
And he's great. I think he's very cute in Pursuit of Happiness. Although, I mean, like
Yeah.
he's basically just playing his dad's
but he's
kid.
really
so,
cute
you know.
in that. And it's it's nice to see a movie
He's
where
really little in that one though.
Yes.
He's like 8.
yeah, it's nice to see a movie where the father and son actually look similar.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
rarely we get family casting that looks similar, and it adds a lot of emotional weight when it's like, oh, I believe they're family.
Right.
Because they actually are father and son. But also, they're clearly so
Wait,
comfortable with
what?
each other, they're actually father.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah, I should say that we're going to go into spoiler territory. Jaden Smith is Will Smith's son.
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh,
We're
yeah.
going to have to cover that on the
Oh
podcast.
gosh. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
You know, the emotions of the scenes are immediate because it's like an actor he feels comfortable with because it's his papa.
Absolutely.
I think he does The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Jaden. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Right.
Which I saw.
Maybe one other movie without Will. Maybe not.
No.
Okay.
No, it's Pursuit of Happiness. Day the Earth Stood Still is 2 years after that. Karate Kid's 2 years after that.
Right. And Karate
And
Kid.
then
I
now
think,
this, and then now after.
and this, and that's that.
Then he's done.
Yeah. I think he might be retired from movies.
You might.
But the Karate Kid, everyone was like, oh, it might do all right. It did like 50 million opening weekend.
Huge, yeah.
And
I
then
mean, it
like
played to a
multiplied
very-
better than its opening weekend.
It played to a young market, and they
Yeah.
liked it, and you know,
But I think also the nostalgia thing. I think
Sure,
people
right.
like the original film.
Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Big gripe of mine, if I can just sidebar for 1 second here. The film has no karate in it.
What?
It's exclusively about kung fu.
It is,
No,
and it's set
come
in
on.
China.
It's set in China.
Yeah.
And throughout the movie, they go like, I'm going to teach you kung fu. I know kung fu. Kung fu
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah.
They never say the word karate.
Well, I
Why
mean,
not just-
karate is a Japanese.
Yeah, of course
sport.
it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is. But like, I know they're like, well, we paid all this money for the Karate Kid. Why wouldn't we use the title? Because I don't know. It's not about karate.
Yeah.
Call it the Kung,
Kung
Fu,
Fu
Kid.
Kid?
People
Yeah.
will get it.
We'll know what you're talking about.
And then
It's
also
true.
in that zone, I think, look, obviously whatever they did worked for them because it made hand over fist. But I just feel like if you call it the Kung Fu Kid, people go, oh, well, it's not even really a remake.
Right. Yeah.
It's like a
this
spiritual.
whole other thing in line with
It's
it.
a parallel story. It should be called the fucking Kung Fu Kid. Also, Kung Fu Panda 2 should have been called Kung Tu Panda. This is one of my biggest gripes in history.
But I mean,
I'm enraged when I think about it.
yeah. No, that's good. I agree with you. Kung Tu Panda.
Yeah. The lady I'm dating, the other night she asked me, she was like, do you ever get mad? And I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm a very angry person. And
What
she's
do you
like,
get
I
mad
don't
about?
see it. And I was like, I mostly get like angry about movies and stuff, like on my podcast and stuff. You don't see it. And she's like, what's something you get angry about? And the first thing I thought of was like, they didn't call it fucking Kung Tu Panda. That was the first
Well,
thing I thought about.
I'm annoyed about Now You See Me Too. I'm really
Yeah,
annoyed
that
about
one
that.
drives
That
me
should be called
crazy.
Now You Don't.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what it
yeah,
should be
now you
called.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you call
Yeah.
it Now You See Me
Yeah.
Too?
Yeah.
You know what? I would even settle for Now You See Me Too, Now You Don't.
Yeah. That would like.
I would settle for that.
I know that would be hilarious. Just
Also, is
put
it
the
Now You
longest-
See Me Too? TOO.
No.
Well,
and
see, why is
that
it
would
not-
be better. That would be
That
better.
would
Yeah.
be better.
That would
it's
be
just
better.
a fucking number 2.
Here's another one, and this is a bit of a reach because the other ones we're saying are so obvious. It should have been Kung Fu Kid,
Yeah.
Kung Tu Panda. Now You Don't. No
Yeah.
question. Everyone agrees on those three. Here's one that's a little more of a reach. Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed.
Uh-huh.
I really wish it was called Scooby-Doo.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I would be. I
I mean,
would be
that'd
on
be
board
fun,
with that.
Right?
That'd be fun.
I'd be on board
Scooby-Doo
with
would be fun. Okay, anyway, we're talking about After Earth today.
Even just call it Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, but I like
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo because it's funnier.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's fine.
Okay, so After Earth. Jaden Smith, right. Will Smith is like, I'm going to make my kids movie stars now.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but he made Men in Black 3. It was what it was.
But this is in the time in between. In the time in between 7 Pounds and Men in Black 3, he produces,
He makes Jaden a star.
and he
buys the rights to Annie for Willow.
and they're going to do that.
And then she doesn't want to be
She
in it
decides
or
she doesn't want to be
whatever.
in
Right.
movies.
They
Right.
cast Convention A. Wallace.
Yes.
Yeah.
But so then he comes back to the big screen. Men in Black 3 makes a ton of money. I don't know if you guys know this, but like there was this thing where the New York tax incentive for film production was going to expire at the end of that calendar year. It was up for reevaluation. And the thought was they're going to vote it down and the tax break is going to be smaller than it has been in the past.
Right. Because,
Yeah.
Bloomberg had, encouraged a lot of film production in this
Right.
city. Yeah.
So whatever year it was, I think 2011, right? It was like December 2011 or 2010 or whatever. And they had like a Men in Black 3 script, but they weren't really happy with it. Will Smith was like he was like, this isn't in workable shape to start filming. But they knew they had, okay, it starts out present, they go to the 60s, we have Josh Brolin cast. That's the basic premise of the movie.
Yeah.
And they went, what if we just shoot the first act of the film? The stuff with Tommy Lee Jones, he has a scheduling conflict. If we start the production within 2011 or 2010, whatever year it was, we'll get the tax break. We shoot that, then we shut down production for 2 months, work on the script, and then come back and shoot the other stuff. So they were like, let's lock down a first act that we can't change before we have the second and
Before
third
we
acts
have
written.
the rest of the movie.
Because
A really complicated time travel centric. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So they do that. Then they shut down production for 2 months to work on the script. And 2 months later, Sony's like, okay, Will, timer's up. We got to film the movie. And he was like, I don't think the script's ready. And he had ultimate say, and they couldn't start the movie. So for like 2 more months, Will Smith had 8 writers working simultaneously to try to crack the second and third acts of the movie. And they were paying the crew and the cast to not work. They had them on hold.
And the movie cost like $250 million.
Yeah, it cost an insane amount of money. And then there was the
Aren't
shit
we doing
with
an
like.
After Earth episode?
But I think all this is important.
Well, yeah.
Then there's the shit with the trailer.
Yeah.
Where he had a trailer that was like a city block wide, and these people like complained and had it towed.
Right.
Yeah.
It just has there's a lot of negative energy aimed at Will Smith.
Yes.
Right.
A guy who at this point had been like uncontested America's favorite.
Yeah.
Like everyone loved him, and even people who weren't like huge Will Smith fans were like, guy's charming.
Yeah.
Or they were like, yeah, he's in some good movies. Like you couldn't find someone who was like, fuck Will Smith.
Sure.
You could not find someone who said that. And now there's starting to be a fuck Will Smith thing. It's like, why is he pushing his kids so hard?
Yeah, the kid thing, there was a lot of the Scientology talk was
Then
starting
there's
to
the
Right.
Scientology
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
happening. Right.
yeah.
And so he starts hanging out with Tom Cruise a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden, like Scientology principles start floating around in conversations, interviews, and stuff. And when asked point blank, he's like, look, I'm a student of all religions.
Right.
Which he'd always said, like, because he is this guy who, by all accounts, is sort of like an omnivore for knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, he's just fucking studying everything all the time. Will Smith wants to be like Galactus. Like, he wants to, like, absorb everything, be the most physically fit, and know everything in the world. So, like, as far back as, like, 2000, I remember reading interviews with him where he was like, I find these principles of the Jewish faith interesting. I read about this in Buddhism. I don't practice anything that specifically,
but
I
he's
like this sort of
donating
thing.
to Scientology.
Now he's donating to Scientology.
Causes.
And
I
that
mean, so,
school,
like,
he opens that school.
He opens a
like
school.
a charter school or something, yeah.
And they're all using study technology, which is
Right.
something that L. Ron Hubbard pushed, right?
Yeah.
And Scientology just, a basic thing, it's like, a pyramid scheme disguised as a religion created by a sci-fi writer. But the core of it is
We're gonna
this
get
set
sued.
of psychological principles, right? That he had submitted to like psychiatric journals. And he was like, I think I figured out a good way to make the mind work. And everyone's like, you write dime store novels, go eat a turd, L. Ron. And he turned it into a religion. Dianetics is the core of those principles. Because that's an important glossary to establish because we're going to be talking about Dianetics a lot in this episode. A lot. So yeah, Men in Black 3, there's some weird mojo going on. The movie comes out, kind of a meh response. Some people like it. Some people hate it. Does well, but costs way too much. But now he's back, right? He's back on screen. What's he going to do? Jaden has a huge hit under his belt. M. Night, meanwhile, at this exact same time, is coming off of Last Airbender, which also made a tremendous amount of money,
Yeah.
Made some money.
but was hated by
Everyone
everyone.
hates it.
Swept the Razzies.
And the 3 movies before that, people also hate it.
Yes.
So M. Night's at this real, like,
Is
nadir.
it yeah.
where like on one hand he's still kind of bankable because his movies haven't lost money that much, like other than Lady in the Water.
Right.
But on the other hand, it's very clear the bloom is off the rose.
Yeah.
And like he's starting to become a bigger deterrent. And I said this in that interview we did with past guest Joe Reed, but I remember the moment where I saw the Lady in the Water trailer in theaters. And the trailer came out, there was only ever one trailer. It was a teaser. It had an El Divo song. It was all images, Paul Giamatti under a sink, whatever. And the audience was like, what the fuck is it? Like, I saw the opening night of some movie. It was, like, sold
and then
out.
M. Night Shyamalan came on the screen.
It said, a bedtime story by M. Night Shyamalan. And I heard the entire crowd go, ooh.
Yeah.
And suddenly
like,
everyone,
they want to see, like, they're like, oh, I'm interested in that.
I thought that looked stupid, but if M. Night's doing it, something weird's going on.
Yeah.
Well, things have changed.
2010, I see the trailer for Devil.
Yes.
It's a movie about Satan in an elevator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And the trailer's coming up, and people are like, oh, okay, it was kind of...
Yeah,
That's
elevator
kinda cool.
creepy.
Looks like a good little B thriller,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And then it goes from producer M. Night Shyamalan, and everyone laughed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in a theater, everyone groaned.
Yeah.
Like loud groans.
And I don't know a single person who saw that trailer in theaters in a packed house who didn't hear either a groan or a laugh.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, within 4 years, like that shift happened where now his name is like an immediate deterrent.
Yeah.
And even they pushed him hard on Last Airbender. Like it was an M. Night Shyamalan film. He was out there doing press. Like he was doing fucking Kids' Choice Awards and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And then like this movie, Will Smith comes to him, right? Will Smith's like, Jaden had a big hit on his own. I'm ready to take Jaden to the next level.
I saw that TV show, I Shouldn't Be Alive.
Right. So the story is that Will Smith sees an episode of I Shouldn't Be Alive and has this idea of like, it'd be I'm trying to find a movie for me and Jaden together where I can like pass the torch to him. Put Jaden in like a big movie. And he had this idea of like, that's a really interesting concept for a movie, which is he saw some story, that he jumped off from of like a father and a son who get in a car crash and the father is like
in
debilitated.
like the mountains,
Yeah. And the son has to go out on his own and find help to rescue the father.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that is a good idea.
Yeah, that's
for
a
movie.
cool
It's
idea.
fine. It's fine.
That's like
it's
good idea for like a sparse.
It's a starting point. At least. It's a jumping off spot.
Yeah, but you go, okay, father-son relationship emotionally, like that's deep, right? Like father-son movies almost always work.
Yeah.
If you invest that, that's a good starting point for an emotional.
There's a lot
base.
of movies about father-son stuff. Put it that way. A lot.
Yeah, and I'll say there are a lot of father-son movies that I think are shitty, but they still get to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like I'm angry that I'm getting worked up.
I didn't even know that I liked father-son movies until Netflix recommended a category to me, father-son emotional dramas.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wait, all these movies that I love are father-son movies.
Yeah. So he has that starting point of an idea, and he brings it to some writers. And then at one point, he goes like, wait, I think this idea, the core of this idea could be a lot bigger. What if we make this a sci-fi thing? They get this writer, Gary Whitta, who had written the Book of Eli at that point.
He had,
Oh.
And I think he comes in with the other half of this idea, which is Earth 1,000 years after we've left.
Yeah.
And it's now uninhabitable. And in fact, it's a hostile environment. And so what if you do that idea, the son has to rescue the father's stuck, the son has to come into his own, which is very metatextual of like, I'm going to literally let my son become the hero of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to be stuck under a rock, and my son has to become the leading man.
Right.
It
was going to be called 1000 AE.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went to M. Night.
He went to M. Night, and he apparently had always been wanting to make a film with M. Night. M. Night had a film that he was close to making.
Yeah. You know who's going to be in it?
It was, I know, Gwyneth Paltrow,
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
And fucking Bradley
what was
Cooper.
That? I feel like I
Bradley
remember
Cooper.
that. What was that movie?
It was like, we don't
was a
know. It was
secret
some
movie that
project.
we've never known about.
Yeah.
But he had those four people, and this is like big Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
He had those four people locked in to do it. And I think, like, the blooms off the rose, the nature of the conversation, we don't know, and we will never know. But I imagine what happened was
Will was like, make this for me, and then maybe we can make that.
Was like, you're in a bad place right now.
Yeah.
This is going to be an automatic hit.
Right.
If you direct this, you'll get your clout back.
Right. But so, what if, of course, it's Shyamalan. What does he have to do?
Film in Philadelphia?
He has to write it.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he wrote, he took the second pass of the script.
He did a rewrite. Yeah. But
he's credited. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But it was the first thing that he didn't develop.
No.
It's the first movie that
It wasn't his idea,
on.
It wasn't his idea. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and Will Smith was going to be in like a Katrina movie, and he had to pull out of that.
The American Can,
Yeah.
which sounded very interesting.
Yeah.
And then he tried to get Denzel Washington to take over it, and then it just never got made.
And indeed, yes, this movie was half shot in Philadelphia, half shot in like Costa Rica and Utah, like cool places like that for the alien landscapes. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm pulling up something
Oh
here.
my god!
Yeah.
He's got his stupid Amazon X-ray thing.
Amazon X-ray. By the way, I'm now an Amazon employee, so please rent all your movies on Amazon and use that Amazon X-ray.
That was how I watched this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched it on iTunes. Go Apple.
Okay, well, eat a turd. Producer co-writer Will Smith envisioned After Earth as a multi-platform franchise, including books, graphic novels, and interactive video games, which would all
they
inform
say that about
add to the
everything
ideas.
these days.
But they did release like 4 paperback novels of the extended universe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I would read that. I didn't know that happened, so I didn't read any of that, but I would read that stuff.
Sure.
There are, what does it say here? There are a couple books. There's a series of spin-off novels subtitled Ghost Stories had been planned. They weren't released. But then there was a Bible. There was like a Katai's journal. There are books you can find.
But let's get to the movie.
Well, I have 2 additional things I did.
God damn it, Griffin.
Original screenplay was written by Gary Whitta,
Yeah.
based on an idea by Will Smith. M. Night Shyamalan did a few drafts of the story. And Will Smith, by the way, has story by Will Smith credit on this one.
Yeah.
The other 2 people they had rewrite the film were Stephen Gaghan,
Sure, he rewrites everything. He's like a
Academy
legendary
Award winner for
rewriter.
Traffic,
Yeah.
and Mark Bowl,
Yeah.
Academy Award winner for The Hurt Locker.
Yeah.
And M. Night Shyamalan, Academy Award nominee. So you have like...
But Gaghan and Mark Bowl are guys who rewrite everything. Like, you know, who knows what they do?
Yeah. Oh, the 2 After Earth books are called After Earth United Ranger Corps Survival Manual.
Oh,
So that's a fake manual for
yes.
the Corps. And
And
the other
I want
one,
this book.
After Earth Katai's Journal.
Yeah.
Where's the other part of it?
First of all, when did he have time to write the journal?
That's true. Is it just him being like, you know, tough day at school today? Like, is it
Yeah.
pre?
Is it an early journal or is it?
This is the last trivia fact I want to read, and this one I think is important. Who knows how real this is? Okay, but this knocked me back, and it's not surprising, but to hear this stated so bluntly and confidently.
What?
Although not credited on the finished film, co-writer producer Will Smith was responsible for much of the movie's direction. While M. Night Shyamalan was primarily in charge of the blocking, composition of shots, placement of the camera, and the visual aspects of the film, color and design, it was Will Smith who personally coached Jaden Smith in his performance, dictated the development of the story and on-screen action. After both the story and acting were heavily criticized, Shyamalan decided to take the blame.
What's the sourcing for that, though?
Who knows?
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
That's hard to
The source on this one is IMDb Trivia.
Yeah, IMDb Trivia. I want to make this clear because we now cite them a lot. IMDb Trivia is literally sourceless and anyone can add to it.
Oh, it's
There
a scum
is
of
no way to back it up.
a hive of scum and villainy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I do think there's probably something to the idea, at least, that Will had a heavy investment in his son's performance.
I think he's the dominant voice of this film. I think he's the auteur. So let's get into the movie now that we've set the stage.
Great, bad movie. 2 stars.
Kind of like it.
I don't hate this movie.
I feel the same way, Jay.
It's probably the best movie Shyamalan had made in quite a long since like The Village, I would say. In terms of like, you know, it has like a story with like a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
You know, it moves okay. It's a little boring, but it's you know, it's got a little suspense. It's got a little bit of fun. Looks okay.
I was like, when watching it again, I was like trying to find stuff to not like about it because I know everyone doesn't like this movie. But it was hard. It was like I could find some at the beginning, and then after a while, I was like, I can't find anything anymore. You know, like I had to watch. It was
I'm kind of with you, James. I think this movie's kind of boring. Like
boring.
I think
My big hit on
that's
it is
as big
pretty
as
boring.
slight is. It's like it's a little inert.
Yeah,
a little inert.
But it's very inert.
Well,
but it's not like I don't find that many things in the film that are like egregiously bad.
Yeah,
like there are very few moments where I'm like, this is terrible. I'm just like, this is less engaging than it should or could be.
Mediocre. To bad.
It's like kind of good.
No, I
feel like that's another way of saying kind of good.
all right. This is going to be
B-. It's like, you know, it's like it's
going to be battle episode. I think I can't go on. This is not kind of good.
You can't give it a C+.
Ben, help me out here.
What would you give it?
I'm so upset right now hearing this. Guys, this movie fucking sucks.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Well,
Ben.
let's create some context. The voice you're hearing right now is our producer.
Yeah, that's
Producer
me.
Ben,
Hi.
a.k.a. the Ben Deucer.
What's up?
A.k.a. Purduer Ben.
You know me.
A.k.a. the Poet Laureate. A.k.a. Mr. Positive.
Oh,
A.k.a. the Haas.
All right,
Hello.
speed it up.
A.k.a. Birthday Benny.
Nope, it's
We
not my
never
birthday.
call him Professor Crispy.
Don't you dare!
Professor Ben Kenobi. Producer Ben Kenobi.
Oh my God,
We call him Kylo Ben.
Ben, you're gonna take the volume down on this.
But here's another thing we call him.
Uh-huh.
The tiebreaker.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
right.
the tiebreaker.
Now, what happens if the tiebreaker is part of
He's
the
part of the tie.
Yeah, when he makes it the tie.
That's a tough call. I
don't
don't
know.
know.
We got to say hello, Fennel, for now and keep the
Mhm.
argument going.
That's right.
Let's start with the beginning of this movie.
Because I think this is the
I
worst
wanna
part
start
of the
at the
film.
beginning.
I think the
I
beginning's the
agree.
worst part.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Worst part.
Where they're just like, okay, so we left Earth, and then we went to another planet, but there are monsters, and they can smell fear, and so we have ghosts who can kill the monsters because they have no fear. Got that? Great. Like, that's the beginning of the movie,
This
right?
is also exactly how The Last Airbender starts.
It's true.
The
Just
Last
like,
Airbender
just like,
starts-
yo, let me catch you up.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It starts with a little girl who shouldn't be the lead of a movie in terms
Yes.
of ability and charisma,
Right.
doing a very, very dry voiceover narration about, like, 4,000 years ago, 4 tribes existed. And it's just this montage of scenes that you're like, can I see that?
Yeah,
Like-
I wouldn't even hate this part so much if, like, the moment that they weren't choosing to show from later in the movie was the part where he's, paralyzed. It's like, is he thinking this right now? Am I supposed to believe that
Right.
at this moment he's thinking this?
Yeah. Do you know what the opening of this movie should be? They say in the
Like
narration,
Will
they're
Smith taking out an Ursa or whatever.
Right,
Yeah,
they say
that's
like
what it's-
my father, General Cypher Rage, which we'll spend
Great
an hour
name.
talking about that name.
No, we won't.
But they say like my father, General Cypher Rage, was the proudest of them all. He had no fear. The
Can
lack
we
of
talk
fear
about
makes
their
you a ghost.
Yeah,
accents
what
right
even is
away?
it? What is the accent
What
supposed
is
to
it?
be?
It sounds a little like Katharine Hepburn.
Sure.
They all are like, listen to me.
Like an American received pronunciation.
Yeah.
But I think it's supposed to be some sort of like pan-global accent,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like they're aiming for no
But
accent in particular.
everyone's is different, though.
Everyone's is
like,
different.
everyone has a
Yeah.
different one, which is
But
weird. That doesn't make
no
sense.
one's is quite right. Everyone's
Yeah.
got an accent where you're like, wait, what? What's this? Who's this person?
But when we say everyone, they're the 4 members of the family in this film, right? There's
Yeah.
Will and Jaden, and then there is Sophie Okonedo, and
Plays his wife, yeah.
yes,
And Zoe
Zoe Kravitz
Kravitz.
plays the dead daughter.
Yes.
Which I just quick faint praise award if I can hand it out.
All well cast in terms of resemblance.
And,
like-
Yeah.
Kravitz and Okonedo are one of the best mother-daughter
Mother-daughter.
on-screen. They look identical. There's
Yeah,
a shot they're in
it's
together
crazy.
where it's like the only difference between their 2 faces is the little bit of Will Smith you need to put in.
Yeah.
Like it's such good casting.
Yeah, it is.
They have nothing to do in the film.
Nope. Not
but,
at all.
But they look incredible next to each other.
Yes.
So the 4 of them all seem like they're sort of trying to do the same accent. This like combination of Katharine Hepburn and the Canadians from South Park, right?
yeah.
They're like, you're my buddy guy, you're my guy, buddy. They're all sort of doing that. I feel like every other character you meet in the film isn't doing an accent. Like the pilots,
Yeah.
the other corps.
No, yeah, they're probably just talking
Rangers.
in
Oh yeah.
a voice.
The guy who like is missing a leg.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the guy,
he's
stand
just-
me up.
Yeah,
He's
stand me up,
just-
sir.
Yeah, like he has an American act.
Yeah,
Just
he-
a,
like very American.
No, but you also have Christopher. I don't know how you say it. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but he now is in Game of Thrones as Tormund Giantsbane,
Okay.
and he plays the guy who he's like where the Ursa is chained up in the ship. And
Oh,
he's
yeah.
like to Jaden, like, do you want to see it and stuff?
Okay.
He's like Swedish.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
using his Swedish accent.
Right.
And like Chris Gere from You're the Worst, I mentioned him. He's
Yeah.
one of the pilots. He's English. He's an
Using
English
his
accent. Like everyone's just doing whatever they do.
Yeah, I do think the idea was like, oh, all of Earth, it's one accent now for everybody, but we
Right.
all speak in English. But it's
Yeah.
also like the 4 of them seem to be the only ones really committing to making some new accent as opposed
Sure.
to other people using their own accent.
right.
And it's like, from the get-go, you're like, they shouldn't have put this on this kid.
Yeah, because it's
No, it's hurting
very
his
distracting.
performance.
Yeah.
He's
So
a very
much.
natural performer in
Yeah.
Pursuit of Happiness, in Karate Kid, and he's
Yeah.
like so stilted and
Yeah.
stiff and bad in this movie. I
I-
mean, to
Yeah.
me, that's
Yeah.
the main reason the movie's bad. I
I
mean, he's
think
70% of the movie.
100%.
But then you also kind of feel like that's part of how he's direct, like
Yeah,
kind
totally.
of like the future, the weird, like trying to separate yourself from fear.
Absolutely.
It's kind of what leads to that sort of stilted.
Right. He's supposed to be
performance.
playing someone who's trying to like almost like Spock-like, right? Like be like entirely like without emotion.
Well, okay, and this gets in the Dianetics thing, which is the core of Dianetics as like a philosophical, like as a psychological principle, is that human beings are weighed down by like past trauma and regrets and their memories and stuff like that. And the thing that Dianetics aims to do is like remove those things from your mind. And they claim that if you do that, you go clear, right?
Yeah.
Scientology is a religion based on those principles and like an active process to try to help people go clear. And if you go clear, they say you can accomplish anything. You just become so focused and so productive.
This was the premise of Matt Patches' piece. Have you read that piece?
No.
Matt Patches, past guest on this show, wrote a whole piece about how like this is a Scientology movie and Cypher Rage is like clear, theta clear. Like,
Yeah.
he's like the
Yeah.
ultimate stage of
That's the whole
science. Like
thing.
that's the reading you could make of this, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's why they say, like, you know, I mean, there are many reasons why they try to recruit movie stars, but one of them is that, like, for actors, it's very appealing if you go, like, hey, we can, like, strip away all your baggage.
Right.
And you're just balanced and can approach any project and jump into it.
Can I say something against this? Because a lot of people have said that the idea that this is a Scientology movie is stretching it, and I agree that it is a little bit. Because his whole emotionless thing is like the villain of the movie. And it is conquered at the end of the movie, and at the end of the movie, they're like, you know what? Let's go work with mom and like not do this anymore.
That's what I find fascinating about the movie, is I don't think it's like a pro-Scientology like propaganda movie, but I think it's a movie that is so based in, I think Will Smith and his like relentless pursuit for like human perfection, right?
Yeah.
To become like the ultimate human being, I think got into Scientology because of that like promise of like, we can make you go clear. And by the way, the Scientology talk has like really died down in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think after this movie, he really sort of
He
backed
knew,
away
like,
from
oh
it.
yeah,
Yeah, well,
Nobody
also
likes
like
that.
though there have been quote unquote official statements now that he never was a Scientologist. Like, you know what I mean? Like not like but coming out of Scientology, people are saying like,
Well, he never
officially-
officially like signed the
That's
document.
Yeah,
the thing.
right?
I think he was fucking around with it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know? And I think this movie was coming from a point where he was like, not like I need to teach the learnings of Scientology, but was like, I'm really into these ideas right now about going clear. All that concept. Yeah, and so it's this idea that if you don't have any fear, is that they focus on the one emotion for the sake of this movie, but like you don't have any fear, then the Ursa, the aliens can't see you, and then you can do anything.
Now, one, this is kind of dumb, but whatever.
Agreed.
But two,
Oh yeah, because they can't see; they can only smell emotions.
right? Two, it's the thing where they're like,
Like
oh,
Kit
so we
Fisto,
got to
like
this
Kit
new, we
Fisto.
got to this new
Like Kit
planet.
Fisto.
All right,
Like Kit Fisto.
we got to this new planet, Nova Prime, and like, oh, nice place. Except the aliens had designed a race that could kill us perfectly, like perfect hunters.
Yeah, maybe
They
not.
were
Maybe not
blind.
the best planet to live on.
Yeah.
Well, no, but also like, oh, they're perfect hunters. They are blind.
Yeah.
Go back to the drawing board with these guys. Like, give them eyes. It's good that they can see. That would be a good thing to kill humans with, because humans are very visible.
Right.
We're not invisible.
Right. Yeah.
So smelling our fear is the like, and it's just immediately you're like, oh, what a dumb premise for a movie, right?
It's also the fucking Phantom Menace trilogy thing where if you start a movie with 5 minutes of fucking nonsense terms I haven't heard before, my brain sort of just shuts off.
Yeah.
If like the opening of your film is like the Ranger Corps have been killing Ursas for 5,000 years.
Right.
Ghosting was a thing that Cypher Rage could, and I'm just
You're
like,
already like,
none
I
of
don't
the-
know. I
I
don't
don't
know
know
what
what you're talking about. And
Yeah.
it's done in montage. There's the one shot they give you of like Will Smith walking through a field. There's an Ursa there, and he just like a fucking badass like throws his knife out, stabs a thing, and they go like he was the ultimate ghost. You know?
Yeah.
Cool. Show me that fucking scene.
Yeah.
Like you could do all of that visually. You could drop me into an exciting action scene where there are a bunch of monsters and a bunch of rangers, and then big hero shot. Will Smith comes from the dust. The audience cheers.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Oh my
yes.
God, they're going to kill him. What's going on? How is he not being killed? Stab, stab, stab. And someone goes, he's done it. He's eliminated fear. He's become a ghost. That conveys everything this fucking opening narration is trying to get across.
Yeah.
And it also would be entertaining
It would
to
be a
watch.
little more fun. Now, it's still, the problem is like, in this movie, to be a hero who's like a total badass, you have to be really boring because
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
you're emotionless. So
Oh,
it's
the
just a Will
opposite-
Smith, super cool, being like,
Yeah.
but it's like no face, no expression, no
Yeah.
emotion.
It's a
You're
movie
a bad
about...
dad.
You're a bad dad.
Yeah, right. You got to be a bad dad to be a good ghost.
Yeah, you got to be a bad dad.
So is this
That's
Will
the
Smith?
father-son thing, you
Right.
know?
Is this Will Smith saying?
That's where it kind of,
that's
gets
interesting.
you,
It's
you
hitting
know,
the
with the
buttons.
father-son.
So is it him saying to Jaden, like, look, I know I'm not around all the time. I know I'm a movie star and I got to do all this stuff. But hey, like, you got to do that to be a movie. Like, is that what's happening here?
I think, and Will has also said in the past, Will, I'm on a first name basis.
Will, yeah.
Will, you know.
Bill Smith
We'll
has
come on
said
the
in the
podcast,
past.
by the way.
Will come on the podcast. Bill has said in the past, Billy, that he like had said when people were like, "Did you force your kids to go into show business to like make movies?" And he's like, "Look, I told my kids," and this was before it seems like there was a bit of a life reevaluation from him. We'll talk about that at the end of the podcast.
Right.
But this was like a couple years ago, around the time of After Earth, I think, before it came out. He was like, I just told my kids very plainly. I said, like, yeah, Willow, Jaden, which let's talk for 1 second. I just want to acknowledge that.
He named his daughter after himself and his son after his wife.
Yeah, kind of a good bit. It's a good bit.
It's a good bit. It's very consistent.
It's very consistent. Good bit commitment. But he said to them, like, by his own words, right? Look, you can do whatever you want to do, and I'll support you in that, but I'm not going to be able to help you because this is the only thing I understand. If you want to be an astronaut, good on you, but I don't understand that.
Yeah.
And so there was this pressure of, like, if you want to have a relationship with me.
Right.
But that's what it sort of sounded like. If it was like, if you want to have a relationship with me, you got to do what I do.
Yeah.
Which does feel like the subtext of this movie.
Sure.
But there also is this counterintuitive
classic
thing.
father-son dynamic. Like, I want to live up to my dad's standards.
Right.
And yeah, sure.
But the counterintuitive thing is, like, what's the number one thing? If you cite what makes Will Smith such a great movie star, guy's just got charisma.
Yeah.
This movie is about, I want you to follow in my legacy, become the next me by being bland and emotionless.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
being a total
It's true.
blank slate. Being a cipher.
Or and by being a total blank slate, except when you are like hyperventilating, which is it's such a stark contrast
Right.
that like it's hard to even watch that. Like it's hard to even
Watch those scenes.
watch that because you're like,
Yeah, this is just frustrating.
he's
and
like
dumb.
he's like so frustrated and so
Take a knee.
hyperventilating that you're like, I can't deal.
Take a knee.
The two main characters. Okay, for the listeners at home, I'm taking a knee. The two main characters in this film, who are on screen for 90% of the movie, like there's probably a combined 30 lines of dialogue not uttered by these two characters.
Yeah.
Right. The two main characters have two emotional states the entire film: nothing and hyperventilation. Like that's kind of it, right? So the opening, there's the whole thing, and then it goes to like Jaden. He's running and he's training, and they go, "You're not being passed as Ranger." Goes home to dinner. His father's the legend. His mother seems very warm and caring. She does a good job getting across emotion in very limited screen time. But you're like, oh, she seems maternal. She seems nice.
Right.
Right? Jaden announces at dinner that he's not a Ranger.
Right.
Will reacts as badly as someone who doesn't have emotions
They're
can
eating
react.
with these 3-finger chopsticks that I was very fascinated by. It's like 3-finger clears chopsticks where it's just, I love sci-fi movies where they haven't thought the world through, but they're just like, I don't know, there's future chopsticks, right? Like there's a third chopstick. Like that's their whole idea for a future cuisine.
My favorite thing like that is in Battlestar Galactica, how the paper, when they hand each other
it has
documents,
the corners cut off.
so it's just like an octagon paper, but it's literally just they like cut the four corners off of the paper. And
They
it's like,
must have like by the 4th season been like, oh,
stupid
hell,
fucking
where's
paper.
the cutting thing?
There was one PA whose job was probably just,
Got in
Mom,
that paper.
Dad, great job. Great news. I got an internship on my favorite TV show, Battlestar Galactica. What do? I sit in a basement all day and I cut the corners off of printer paper.
Oh boy.
They freak out. And then Sophie,
I mean, I don't think he should be a ranger, though.
he doesn't want to be a ranger.
He's like,
No.
he's but the first thing, he is faster than everyone else,
Very fast.
but he is like 2 times smaller than all of the other cadets. It's like, why is he should still be a child. He's so small.
Yeah.
How old was he when this movie was
I
made?
think 14?
Well, he
Jaden,
looks
he
about
was-
12. The whole
Yeah,
time I'm like,
yeah.
he's a 12-year-old behaving like a 12-year-old,
Yeah,
I
He
feel.
was born in 98. He's probably about 13 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe 14, yeah.
The other thing is, I mean, we say that he doesn't have emotions in this film, but it's all bottled emotion. Like, you can tell this kid wants to express his emotions.
Katai.
Katai Rage.
That's his name.
Wants to express his emotions, cannot, which means he's probably not a good choice to be a ranger.
Yeah.
No, and like when the guy is Glenn Morshire plays the like general or whatever, and he's like, you're good, you can run and stuff, but then you freak out in the field, so I'm not going to promote you.
Yeah.
Seems very logical to me. Good decision.
Good decision.
Yeah,
And
this is
also,
a kid.
You can imagine the extra line of dialogue being, "I'm doing this for your own good."
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to be a ranger.
Right.
A, you shouldn't be a ranger. B, I think you don't want to be a ranger.
And he said,
your dad wants you to be a ranger, and you want to make
my
your dad
dad's
love
coming home. It's really
Right.
important, and he's like, say hi to your dad for me. Like, okay.
Now, I want to present a theory quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Call me crazy. I think Jaden Smith doesn't want to be in movies.
Sure.
Like, period. Just ever.
Period.
Yeah.
I think he did the first one. It was like, hey, do you want to be in a movie? You play my son? Sure, fine. Why not? He does it. He gets a lot of attention. He's a little boy, right? You're clay at that point. You're Play-Doh. Oh, you want to do a alien movie? Sure, why not? Hey, you like Kung Fu? You practice Kung Fu? You want to do Kung Fu with Jackie Chan? Sure, why not? But like now the pressure's starting to get to him.
Yeah.
And now everyone goes, okay, Jaden, now their expectations. You have to try to take over the legacy and have 20 consecutive #1 blockbusters. And he's like, hormones are kicking in.
Yeah.
He's a teenager. You never want to do what anyone tells you to do when you're 13.
No.
And suddenly when you're 13, they're going, we're going to bank $250 million with advertising included and this promise of like video games and novels and comic books based off this
trilogy,
thing.
yeah.
They hired like Peter David, who's like a famous comic book writer, to write a 300-page Bible of like all the like texture of the world.
Yeah.
So that they could like delve into it and hand like elements off to different writers to like write additional supplemental material. And I think he's just like every night going back home and going like,
I don't like any of it.
Right. I mean, we should. In 2013, he sought emancipation.
Yeah.
With the permission of his parents
Oh, yeah.
in court at
Yeah.
the age of like 15.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also never made a movie ever again.
No.
No.
And it's just like a teenager who wears like a white Batman suit and like tweets crazy stuff.
Yeah, wears
and, like,
burlap sacks and stuff. He's cool.
dresses
He's doing
and, like,
his
models.
thing.
Like,
Yeah.
he just does whatever
He's
he wants
I
to
mean,
do.
it's like, why would you want to be in a movie if that's what your life? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, why
exactly.
would you want to? Why would
in a
you
movie
want a
where
job?
everyone makes
like,
fun
why,
of you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you don't need to do a job
No.
if you don't. If
And-
that's your life.
and
And
the
he
other thing
tweets
is-
in like,
one
you
of
know,
the best.
capitalizing every. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a fucking savant.
If you want to have a great time, Google Garfield Jaden Smith tweets.
I've
Oh,
seen
yeah.
that.
It's one of my favorite things on the internet, but someone just took Jaden Smith tweets and placed them onto Garfield strips, and they're incredible.
Yes. Also, this movie's bad, and everyone made fun of him for it. He won a Golden Raspberry, and he's bad. You guys are making the face of like, oh, David's being mean.
Oh, come
But
on.
is
No,
After
it's
Earth
bad.
a good
It's
movie?
very, very
Yeah,
bad.
I know. Like, is it
After
good?
Earth
Because
but like,
no,
is
because-
After Earth a good movie?
this-
though?
I
the
do think it's
beginning stuff-
interesting what you guys are saying. Like, this
beginning
is a movie about a kid who doesn't want to do something, being told like to do something like
Yeah.
in the movie and out of the
And
movie.
out of
Right.
the movie, yeah. Yeah.
And like, I don't think Jaden's particularly great in it, but
Yeah.
I think
I
especially
think he's bad. Bad.
I think the
Capital
the-
B A D.
I think the accent is a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Because it's like that kid's not experienced enough and skilled and trained
And
enough as an actor to be able to deal with that on top of the emotions he's asked. Yeah.
And he's also like not acting with anybody or
Yes.
anything. Like,
Yes.
right? There's nothing is there
Huge,
with him.
huge problem.
So,
Very good
like,
point.
Right.
Probably mostly like green screens.
Yeah,
and like,
mostly green screen,
Yeah.
and lines being spoken to him off camera.
Yeah, he
you know?
barely interacts with another actor
Yeah.
on screen.
And as we've said, the lines being spoken to him are probably from Will Smith
Yeah.
on set, telling his son exactly what to do.
right.
It's the
Playing
ultimate like
and
stage
playing a
dad.
character that is doing the same. Like we talked about the duality of like what's happening in real life is what's happening in the movie, right?
yeah.
He wants to please his dad, playing a kid who wants to please his dad, like
Right.
that. I don't know.
Well,
No,
and-
it's you're right. There's some layers.
And,
here.
and I
There's
just
some
want to say,
layers.
additionally, not just like he's playing off of nothing,
Yeah.
you know, that he's like in a green screen room,
Sure.
but also he's playing off of nothing and mostly doing physical acting.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have much dialogue, so like even doing that level of like action acting is really fucking tough when they're just like take 2, jump,
Right.
take 2, take 3, jump, and you're just jumping and you have to like track the emotions of where you were before that,
Yeah.
doing these little segmented pieces. It's like they're putting him on the advanced ropes course.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is essentially also what this movie's about, where the kid isn't trained to be a ranger and then is asked to do like this crazy mission.
Yeah.
But you go like, I Am Legend, which we all agree Will Smith is amazing in, and you
Yeah.
look at that and you're like, that's why this guy's a movie star.
Right.
Because the
He's
first
holding
hour
the
and a half
screen,
of the
right.
movie, he's dealing with no one. He's
Yeah.
talking to fucking
But
mannequins.
if that were Will Smith's, think about Will Smith's early career.
Right. If that was his third movie,
yeah, you'd be like, no, there's no way. It would have been terrible. It would have been awful.
Horrible. And it's just like they pushed the kid prematurely in the situation he couldn't deal with.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what the movie's about.
Yeah.
And I just think now watching it, like, at the time, I think a lot of the backlash was like, is Jaden going to get pushed down our throats?
Right.
Which is also weird that people were that against it because they had loved The Karate Kid so much a couple years earlier.
Right.
But suddenly, the second this movie was advertised and Jaden is first billed over Will.
Right.
Which everyone was like, nope, that's not the order we wanted
Yeah.
Well, that's the big problem, like, people probably had going into this. Where they're like, oh, Will Smith movie, cool. His legs are broken? Wait, he doesn't leave
20.
He doesn't leave the ship. He just talks over an intercom.
He's
for
also
the whole
not
movie?
going to be smiling.
Yeah,
We're not going to see him smile ever.
Yeah.
Okay, don't like this.
Yeah, literally the last
He's
30 seconds of the film.
He's square in the universe, not the world.
Yeah, he's playing just some herb. He's playing all the things you hate about your dad.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
He's playing bad dad.
Yeah, he's playing bad dad. But like to put all those things on top of Jaden, I think Jaden's not good in the movie.
No,
but I don't walk away from this going like he's a bad actor.
Right.
I'm like this was an awful task.
Yeah.
I agree with that. No, for sure. I mean, like I said, he's a very natural presence in the other movies, and like it's not like this is the end of his like. I think he could never do a good performance.
And I like
it's
that
a bad
scene.
circumstance.
I like that scene that he has where he's before he jumps
when he's freaking out.
Yeah.
And
I
like,
like that scene.
That's a good. It's also that's a good cathartic scene because it's like, okay, finally someone in this movie is actually saying like how they feel.
Yeah.
And
rather
he's
than just like 4 clicks
doing
away,
what he
there's
wants
going to be a
do,
log.
too.
Yeah.
Like you want to see him like break free of his dad's thing.
Right.
I think at the time people hated it so much because they were like, "Are we gonna have to watch a fucking Billy Jaden Smith movie?" But watching it now, knowing that we're in a climate that like, if Jaden
Probably
Smith,
no more. Yeah.
if he's in a movie again, it's because he wants to be in a movie.
Right. Yeah.
Like they're not forcing that to happen anymore. And watching it now and looking at it as a movie about the failed attempt to make Jaden Smith a movie star, ending with the line of "I think I want to work with mom instead."
Yeah.
Like kind of makes it emotional in an unintentional way.
Yeah.
Like, the movie ends up being a decent Jaden Smith biopic with the uplift at the end that he, like, got out from his dad's shadow and just fucking flew on squirrel wings and did whatever he wanted.
Flies on,
presumably.
Let's just run down the plot because it will take 3 sentences.
Right. Okay. So we're at the point where Sophia Kanodu says you should take him on a mission.
Yeah. She says, take him on a mission. He wants to be with his dad and, he looks up to you, blah, blah, blah. So Cypher takes him on a mission. They go on a spaceship. Spaceship hits an asteroid.
Let's mention
field.
there's an Ursa on the ship. There are a bunch of fucking
Isn't
guys.
this an extremely dangerous mission if there's an Ursa
dangerous
on
mission.
the strip?
Bizarre.
On the ship?
Yeah, it's like an Ursa in an Ursa
It's for
egg.
like Ursa testing or whatever.
Yeah.
Ursa.
Yeah.
Dumb name.
Yeah. That's Grunt, though.
Sorry? Oh,
That's Grunt.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Scrunt.
Scrunt, though.
But
But they just got this Ursa. Everyone's like, hey, you think you
Check
can
it
go?
out. It's an Ursa.
Oh, it's Rage's kid. Oh, you want a fucking Ursa? And then he like tries to touch it. The Ursa freaks out. Cypher Rage comes in. Da-da-da-da.
They
Ship
hit an
crashes.
asteroid
Yeah.
field. Ship crashes. Everyone dies except for Will Smith, whose
leg
legs are
is
broken.
horribly
Cypher,
broken, yeah.
and Katai, the kid. He has to go to the other end of the ship landed 100 kilometers
the
away.
tail of the plane.
The tail. He's got to go over there, get a beacon.
Yep.
Earth's really scary. It's evolved to kill us.
Okay, so that moment where he goes,
I guess it just has some animals.
yeah, but he says, well, that's what's annoying about
I
this.
thought that was going to be a twist. That it's like, oh, it turns out Earth actually isn't evolved to kill us, and Earth's very nice.
I was waiting for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are all these moments of like when you just see like nice,
it's very pretty.
foliage and birds, and it's like, oh, Earth is actually.
This movie's pretty idyllic.
Yeah.
Well, I think it might be another one of those half-ass like The Happening,
Yeah.
M. Night like allegory things because it begins with like, oh, pollution and we left the Earth because we ruined it, and it's like, oh, look, we left and now Earth's really nice again. Like we were the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it's pretty lazy.
But there's that moment. I mean, that was the crux of the trailer. Was they went like, "Son, the planet we've landed on is uninhabitable. Everything on this planet has evolved to kill human life. What's the name of this planet? It's Earth." And then they go after Earth. You go, kind of an interesting idea for a movie.
Yeah.
We come back to Earth. Earth has become like a danger zone.
Yeah.
And then it just feels kind of like they're just in like a forest. Like
Yeah.
it's just like
There's like some monkeys. There's a tiger.
Yeah.
Right.
Some birds.
like
the fact that he goes out of the ship for the first time and nothing immediately attacks
Right,
him.
yeah.
Right.
That's like you're like, okay,
And he can breathe.
And he,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
And he has to take the little.
He does take the
tablets.
thing.
to put
Yeah.
the liquid.
But yeah, it's like we know he's not going to be able to breathe. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But then for it to not be like a vine immediately like
Sure,
grabs
right.
like then you're like,
Okay.
You
Yeah,
want, you want
it's just
fucking
a hike.
Audrey 2, like eating him from the second he steps off.
Giant Audrey 2
Audrey
eating.
II, that's it. It should be governed by Audrey 2.
Yeah. Well, also, not enough movies with Audrey 2 in them. Let's say that.
That's true. The first thing that tries to get him, or the first thing that scares him on the planet, is a spider that just crawls onto it. Like, it's not even trying
It's
to
just
bite
like a little
him.
tarantula or
It's
something.
just
He goes
a
like,
tarantula, and that's it. Like, that's, I mean...
And it's not even an evolved spider.
Right.
It's just a normal spider. And then you get to the rest of the animals, and they're all CGI, but they're all just like a
They're
little...
just like big
bigger.
animals.
There's like
Yeah.
a little...
Yeah.
Well, and then the other thing is that the Earth supposedly freezes every night or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's basically just seems like it just gets cold because the sun goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like that's never a huge problem in this movie.
I don't know. It's also like just the landscape itself just looks like, oh yeah, that's just
It's just
Earth
the jungle
with more vegetation.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's just a greener Earth. That's what the rainforest looks like. Like you want the moment where like when he steps off the ship, it's insane, and we
Yeah.
go like, oh my god, I can't
The
fucking
sky's
believe.
red.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
that'd be awesome.
Right.
He does end up at a volcano, which is the other Scientology thing people got obsessed with because that's like a
that's
Scientology
the cover
symbol.
Dianetics.
Right,
Yeah, because they
And
say
that's-
that our
so the
past
volcano
memories
is
are
a
held
little
in the
gnarly,
volcano.
right?
Yeah.
Like because he has to like climb a volcano.
Yeah.
That's a little hard.
But it is like,
But like also a bird rescues him at one point and just like puts him in with the
Well,
babies.
after trying to eat him, though.
It's
the
weird.
bird does try to eat him first.
yeah,
But then why does she?
because he kills the saber tooth.
Kills
Right,
the saber
right,
tooth,
right. So the
and
bird-
all of her chicks are dead, which
Yeah.
is sad.
But
We should never have come back to Earth
No.
after Earth.
Can I do a
After
brief
Earth.
merchandise spotlight?
Okay.
We haven't done one for any of the M Night films. We used to do
Not
this when it was
merchandise-heavy films.
a Phantom Menace.
I'm
podcast.
sure Last Airbender must have had some toys.
It did, but they were just shitty.
Yeah.
Here's my Last Airbender merchandise segment. It all went to clearance. Now here's my segment for After Earth. They were like releasing all these books and like trying to make all this stuff, right? And they announced that a toy company was going to make toys for After Earth, and everyone was like, "Ooh, man," because they'd only been like the teaser trailer at that point and the idea,
Yeah.
and they were like, "I bet there'd be some crazy creatures in this movie,
Yeah.
like toys of like the
Sure.
fucking what are these monkeys going
The
to look like?"
Ursas.
These crazy creatures. And then at Toy Fair that year, which is the big convention where they reveal all the products for the year, like the company had on display, they were like, here's our After Earth line. And it was just one doll of Katai.
Oh,
Like you didn't even get a Will Smith. You didn't get the creatures. Everyone
That's
was like,
it, the whole thing?
we don't want fucking, we don't want
yeah,
a
we
Jade.
don't care about Jaden. No one wants a Jaden action
Poor
chick.
Jaden.
He's a 13-year-old boy.
It's true. He's
No
just
one
a
wants-
kid.
It was just a sad looking boy.
And then he's
in a
just in
jumpsuit.
a bodysuit.
Yeah.
It's not like he has a cool gun or like
Yeah.
armor
Yeah.
or
I
whatever.
I mean, but the bodysuit was cool.
Kind of cool
But
suit,
like,
yeah.
what
It's
did,
helpful.
but what did this toy have? I mean, could the toy do
It
all
couldn't
the stuff?
change color.
It couldn't
No, it
change
was just
warm
color.
up.
No, it was just one
Monitor his
lone-
heart rate.
Does it become like a, what are those things called?
Yeah, the flaps.
The flaps,
little
does it do
squirrel
that? It
suit,
doesn't do
yeah.
that?
No, it's just like one of him.
Does he have the
cutlass?
The cutlass?
Yeah, but I think unextended. I think when it was
What?
just like a
It was just a little
rod.
rod.
Yeah.
There's no, you can't press a button to make it, well.
Well, so what happens is
here's my
they
other-
show it, and everyone's like, we don't want this, and they're like, oh, okay, canceled, and they just never released it.
Oh.
But like everyone at the time was like, why wouldn't you make toys of the creatures? And then they saw the movie and they were like, oh, because
Oh.
the creatures
Yes,
aren't
they're
that
lame.
fucking good.
No.
What?
All right, so let's talk about the cutlass for a second.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that.
Gotta talk about that color.
Because it's the ghost weapon, right?
Yeah.
And it's this like rod that like turns into different spiky kind of things.
It has the needles of like that thing that's like the grid that you can put your hand on and make the imprint.
Yeah.
You know?
So it can turn into various shapes.
Yeah.
You know what would be a really good weapon to kill those Ursas that like are really like big and scary? Gun.
Gun.
You could shoot them
Yeah.
from afar.
From a,
Right.
yes, a distance.
Then you wouldn't need someone who like needs to suppress his fear to walk
Yeah.
among them. Why don't you just shoot them with a gun?
Yeah, but
Did
they're
we like come
purists.
out?
They're purists. They're like David Blaine.
Yeah,
they
there
like
are no,
close
there
up
are
fighting.
no guns in this
It's true.
future.
That's
There
true.
are-
You don't
there are
see
no
one.
guns.
So
Yeah.
maybe we just decided to give up on guns. That's a
Yeah.
fair point. But maybe when we encountered the Ursas, we should have been like, let's revisit the gun
Yeah.
rule.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe we can have guns with it.
just Ursa guns, maybe.
But the rest of this movie is just Will trapped, slowly dying, right? Bleeding
Sure.
out,
Yeah.
watching on a screen because there's a camera
Bad shape.
somewhere on Jaden's body, but the
Yeah,
placement
his
of the camera,
his, like, backpack
it's in the
thing.
backpack.
Yeah.
But sometimes he's seeing over his shoulder.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sometimes
He's seeing what he
his
needs to
face.
see.
Like, yeah. And so it's literally like Will behind the monitor watching the raw footage going like, Jaden, do this. do this, like
And
directing him off
almost
camera.
always Jaden is not doing it.
Yeah.
Like he's like, chill out, and Jaden's like,
Yeah. Take a knee.
Well, take a knee. He won't take a knee. Yeah. Definitely don't climb that cliff face or jump off of this waterfall.
He climbs that fucking cliff face. He jumps off that water. That's the thing. Like, I went through a lot of things I think don't work in this movie, but I still kind of think, despite it all, this movie kind of works.
I mean, it's just that I have all these heartstrings, and there are these moments in the movie where they just pull on those heartstrings.
Yeah.
And, like, the jumping off of the waterfall is one of them. And then the part where, like you just said, he doesn't listen to him the whole time.
Right.
And then there's one time when he can't hear him at all.
Yeah, I like this scene a lot.
And he's saying all of the things that he wants him to do.
Right.
And he comes to those conclusions on his own. And it's like, that's
a
those
decent-
two moments, like, everything
nodding.
else aside, it's like, whatever. But those two moments are like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
My anger, the things that make me angry in this movie are only because I think this movie could have so easily been so much better.
Yeah.
You know? Where it's like, okay, if this is the idea of the film, is the son having to rescue the father, then maybe the way to do it is the one where it's the, I can't believe I'm alive or I survived thing, where it's just simple. It's they're on a mountaintop.
Like
Yeah.
27 hours
Because
style.
the second you get into all the mythology, the background,
Totally.
you devote all this time that takes away from the emotional crux of it.
Right.
And also you're making the characters now emotionless robots, right?
Yeah.
Or if you want to make the film that's like humans land on Earth 1,000 years after we left and it's crazy now, then that's not the storyline, I think, to link up to that.
Right.
Don't make it just one kid wandering through there. Like, I think the two things are fighting with each other.
Right.
I like both ideas enough that there are moments where the movie works for me, but I also am frustrated that I can't just see the two separate movies where each one is executed
Yeah.
to their fullest.
I would even like this movie more if, like, Will Smith, his leg was broken, but he went with him.
Yes.
Like, they went together.
They had like a floating stretcher, like a hollow stretcher.
Something that that put them in the same space.
Where they could have FaceTime. Like,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, a way to see each other, and yeah.
But look, is the juice worth the squeeze? No, but that moment where the
Good
microphone goes out and
Yeah.
Will's going, God damn it, take a knee. And
Yeah.
then he independently takes a knee. And fucking Will Smith's a great actor.
Yeah.
His reaction in that moment is like pretty beautiful. Where he's like realizing that his son actually, has within him to be the man.
I don't disagree. Here's my problem.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the whole movie is basically like he needs to conquer his fear. He needs to be able to defeat this Ursa. We know, like, that at the end of this movie, he's going to run into that Ursa from the ship. We know that's like the. But they're like, he's basically freaked out for 3/4 of the movie, and then he runs into the Ursa. He's freaked out then, and then suddenly he's like,
Suddenly becomes a ghost.
boom, like he's got it.
Yeah,
and then that's it.
So, but this is in defense of the movie.
Please,
though.
go ahead.
He tells him how he ghosted the first time.
Sure.
Before this happens.
That is true.
Right? And he's having he has that weird spiritual, he has that dream where Zoe Kravitz is back and, and she is she's sort of guiding him from beyond. And like, because all of those things have happened, he believably ghosts at the end. The first time I saw it, I was like, I don't know.
This is the first time I saw this movie, I'll admit.
But this time around, I was like, no, 100% he ghosts right now. Like, this is and it takes it's not right away either.
No.
It's like it.
No, he has to.
He also gets some real shots in before he's able to finally ghost. Can we talk about the Zoe Kravitz element? Because I think that's the only element of the story we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
I guess so.
So there's a thing where
classic Shyamalan. This part.
Yeah, because every Shyamalan movie is about someone focusing on their career more than their family and losing them in one way or another.
Yeah.
Divorce, drifting apart, or death. Right.
Totally.
This movie's weird because it's told from the perspective of the family who's lost the dad in a way.
Yeah.
Who's like been drifted away from.
Yeah.
But all of them are about this. And I even realized, we didn't talk about this last week, but it hit me like watching After Earth last night. Last Airbender, the fact that he rewrote it to make it the reason Aang left is because he wanted to have a family someday.
Right.
Is very telling. Because Seaton said that wasn't in the fucking cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just chasing a butterfly. And then M. Night made it like, if you can't have a family,
Right. Why would you?
Why live?
Yeah.
But let's never talk about The Last Airbender again.
Sure.
Yeah.
We talked about The Last Airbender for maybe
5 minutes.
5 minutes. We couldn't
Couldn't
talk
just-
about it.
yeah.
Have you seen it?
I have not seen it.
It's like
And-
it's actually unwatchable, and
It's
it's not the worst movie I've ever seen.
yeah.
But it's maybe the most pointless, non-existent film I've ever
Yeah.
completely
seen.
I
incoherent.
remember, I didn't watch the show regularly, but I remember the show being something that was fun.
Yeah.
And so, like, everyone's reaction to the movie, I was like, I can't even try.
How
You
could
know?
you? Yeah.
Can I say this too? I know I'm going sidebar and a sidebar, but can I say M. Night's movies used to be funny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Sixth Sense has a lot of jokes in it.
Yeah.
And like he's really good at building the tension and then cutting it. Science is like a laugh riot. Like Science,
Yeah,
like
Science-
The
So
Village is
it up.
funny,
Village is funny.
but here's the answer.
And let's not
Lady in
forget
the
Wide
Wa-
Awake. Wide Awake has the thing where the kid's asleep and the movie's called Wide Awake.
But let's not forget Wide Awake. I mean, fucking hell. I never want to talk
Lady
about
in the
Wide-
Water.
Lady in the Water. Tons of comedy.
Too goofy.
Yeah, maybe to its detriment.
And
So
then
maybe that's when he pulls back,
He
right?
strips it way back, and other movies have become.
The Happening has Mark Wahlberg talking to a plastic plant, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And they, like, duck under the,
But that
the
comes-
wind.
Which
is hilarious.
I don't know if he was going for funny
No,
with that
part's
part.
hilarious.
But the talking plant thing comes so late in the film because, like, the other ones, he sets up a good balance early on, and the talking
Yeah.
plant thing. I remember when you got to that scene. When we got to that scene, I was like, "Is he in on the joke or not?" I don't
Right,
know
yeah,
because he
yeah.
hasn't made a joke yet in this film. Last Airbender and After Earth are so dour,
Yeah.
so humorless, right? I think there's
Yes.
one joke.
And Last
And
Airbender,
After.
based on a property that is funny and like
Yeah.
whimsical and
Yeah,
charming.
and for kids.
For kids.
But anyway, back to this movie. The backstory is that Zoe Kravitz was his sister. They were in their apartment talking to Dad via Skype, right? Blowing out birthday candles.
Nova
Yeah.
Skype.
And then somehow an Ursa came into their apartment.
Yeah. He
Right?
walked in. He rang the doorbell.
Yeah.
They opened the door. It was like, oh, it's an Ursa.
They were like, "Can you hold on 1 minute?" They closed the door on the Ursa. Zoe Kravitz is like, "Okay, there's an Ursa here. I'm gonna die. You jump inside the small terranium."
that we could probably both fit into,
Right.
but
If we really thought about it for a second.
Right. Also, we have a small terranium in our apartment. So Jaden jumps inside little Jaden, who the actor's name is also Jaden.
oh, that's great.
His name is like Jaden Hawkins or whatever.
I believe, let me
Yeah.
find it.
Who
yeah.
looks like
Jaden Martin.
Jaden did at that age.
yeah,
they
with
gave him the
the bleach,
hair.
like,
They like
puffy
did that
hair,
on,
yeah.
for
Yeah.
like the audience of like, we know what Jaden
we know.
looked
We
like.
saw that movie. We saw that fucking movie. We know what he looks like.
So yeah, and obviously Cypher is not there to
Cypher's
defend
not
them.
there, and Kravitz takes the fall. Like she dies protecting her.
And
butt.
you see her getting impaled
Yeah,
for a
which
second there.
is
It's a little
horrible.
brutal.
We see
yeah.
it a few times.
I know.
They keep showing this.
And there's
Yeah.
that fantasy sequence where she's suddenly like skinless or for a second,
Yes.
like you see like huge wounds on her face.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now here's a storytelling principle I believe in very, very seriously. Okay, it's like the Andrew Stanton rule for me, which is Finding Nemo. Opening scene of the movie. Here's Marlin. Here's his wife. They have nice banter. You engage with them immediately. They're well written. They're well performed. Then the Barracuda comes, kills his wife, kills
rough.
all the babies. Nemo. Opening credits. So from the
Yeah.
time the movie starts, you understand why Marlin's so neurotic. You
Yeah.
understand the emotional weight of everything. You carry that with you in every scene. Years later, Andrew Stanton makes John Carter. John Carter
Right.
starts, and here's just a man, and he's closed off, emotions or whatever. And they reference his family, and you go, okay, I mean, I know what fucking happened.
Yeah.
But they
Right.
wait until an hour and a half into the movie to give you the flashbacks, and they give you the little pieces, and you're like, I know it. Don't think you're smart, and you're going to twist me, and I'm going to know. And then they reveal it to you, and you go, right, well, I knew that. But without seeing that scene, without experiencing it as an audience, you don't feel for the character.
Yeah.
And so the whole first, like, hour and whatever of the movie's a wash. And this movie makes that fucking mistake where it's like, opening scene of the film should be Will Smith, fucking battlefield, ghosting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then he's on the ship.
And he gets the news.
He Skypes with them.
Right.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And then
It's the
happens.
birthday.
Yeah.
Right.
And
it
then
happens.
from the Skype, we cut to in the apartment. Or he watches it on the Skype, whatever it is. Maybe he
Sure.
watches
Yeah,
it
he
on the
sees
Skype.
it. Yeah.
And then we go, boom, After Earth, start with Jaden Smith running. The movie would be so much more emotional if we had that scene
Yeah.
from the get-go. Because we know the entire time. The first time they show you a glimpse of Zoe Kravitz.
Right.
And then there's a part where Sophie Okonedo says, like, he still hasn't gotten over it. It's like, she died. We know.
Yeah.
Don't think you're pulling one over on us.
Yeah, it's like when they do finally show it, the thing that we really get out of it is the discussion way later of like, why couldn't you ghost? Or like when they yell at, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But as far as the event itself, there's no need to keep it a secret like that.
Absolutely not. And like you see, the other thing you get out of it is, oh wow, this is graphic and it was pretty terrifying. It impales her. If that was the opening scene, the rest of the movie, Jaden Smith bottled, you'd be like, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
He watched that happen.
He's not expressing a lot, but I understand it. I get the character.
Right.
And I also think the device of that one scene where he comes to her when she comes to him when he's sleeping on the riverbed on his like little raft, and she starts speaking to him. I'm like, they should have fucking used this device more.
Yeah.
Because this movie, you need to have him talking to people.
Yeah.
His sister's personable.
His sister actually is like a little bit like fun.
Zoe Kravitz is a pretty warm
She's a good
actress,
actress.
you know? Like, but she like exudes
Whereas,
a certain
like,
level of warmth.
Will is bottling everything up the whole time.
Right. So like have 6 moments in the film
Yeah.
where he's freaked out and Zoe Kravitz comes to him and like
I mean, it would, right? Because like the way they do it now is like we just see his memory instead of like what would be cool is if like those memories were like there was more back and forth. There was there was a scene instead of a
Right.
Totally.
So, we see the little pieces of all the same moment.
Yeah.
Which, if you're going to do flashbacks, show us different moments of their relationship.
Yeah.
Show us her fucking getting killed at the very beginning, and then either do flashbacks to different moments that solidifies their relationship, how much of a loss this was for him, also gives us some fucking, like, emotional connection.
Yeah.
Or have her appear as, like, a figment of his imagination a bunch, so that he has an actor in the same frame to play off of. You know?
Yeah.
But it's still kind of a good movie.
Yeah, kind of. I
It's
mean,
a
still
kinda-
kind of.
It's a kind of like low-key okay movie.
I mean, like, despite the fact that the Ursa we don't even really have to deal with until the end. Like, he's dealing with
he's already
tarantulas.
gotten the beacon.
Yeah, he already has the thing he was
has it.
trying to get.
It's going. It's broadcasting already.
And then the Ursa fighting's like an afterthought.
Yeah.
Yeah, until then it's monkeys, tarantula, and
A leech.
birds. A leech.
A leech.
Yeah.
Not
single
even
leech,
multiple
which almost
leeches.
fucks the whole thing. That's like almost the end of the whole thing.
I kind of like that scene too, where he's got to administer the shots. That scene has some genuine tension to it.
Yeah, that scene's cool.
I agree. Just because there's a ticking clock and Will Smith is sort of barking orders like roll over on it, that's a good scene. This movie is more put together than like the last 4 Shyamalan movies. And it has more tension. And the CGI is not quite as bad, although it's kind of flat. Like it's not bad, but it's not great.
But also, why not make the things look crazier?
Yeah.
You know, like who cares?
Yeah, it should look crazier.
It feels like they
and
went,
Earth should be crazier. Audrey too.
It feels like they went too realistic with it. Where they
Yeah.
were like, well, in 1,000 years it'll only be this much change.
Right,
It's like,
yeah.
but guess what? It's a movie.
Yeah.
Why set it on Earth 1,000 years after we left if it's not going to be horrible? You're right. I mean, the first thing should be the sky should be red.
Yeah, the sky's red and a
sky's red.
vine chokes it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's like that should have been the immediate first thing that happened.
Welcome to After.
All right,
there
now,
we go.
I know they like the idea of this being a two-hander, and it's just Will and Jaden.
two-hander,
What if there were like 3 other people,
I
and they
also
get
think
picked
that would
off
work.
one by
Yeah.
one,
Yeah,
and then Jaden's the only survivor,
Yeah.
and Will Smith, Cypher finally has to be like, okay, all right, like rather than like from the get-go, he's just like, okay, legs are broken, you got to go.
Yeah, have
Right.
3 other Rangers. So if you're going to make a movie centered around a 14-year-old kid, get 4 14-year-old kids so none of those 14-year-old kids have the entire movie like resting on their shoulder for every fucking shot.
But they wanted to go in
yeah.
with this. I really think they were like, that's how we sell this movie. It's
Yeah.
like this is this really intense 2-actor movie.
And it's a passing of the torch. And I think he bet incorrectly that audiences wanted to see that.
Okay,
Yeah.
can I tell you guys an idea I have to fix the movie?
Yes. Okay, Ben has great ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Ben should
Always.
be, Hollywood should pay him $1 million a year.
Hey guys, come on, email me. I'm happy to punch up those scripts.
Okay, Ben, here are your punch-ups for After Earth.
Okay, so I feel like the main distraction for me is Jaden he's playing a character in a time of your life that is you're the most annoying person ever.
Agreed.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right?
He's right at that sweet spot. 14. Ugh.
The
And
worst.
He's so whiny. He's so just annoying. It's just I was so distracted by that the entire time. So my feeling is to just make it so that it can maybe have some humor and just be kind of like, I don't know, more interesting is why don't you make him like future emo or future goth?
Sure.
You know,
a few
because
years
then
later,
you're like, yeah, okay, I see why this kid is such a brat and annoying.
You're saying lean into it. Instead of like trying to overcompensate, make it like he's really in a bad
Make
phase.
him the Jaden that we know now.
Right, make him wearing a control
he's
panel
tweeting
confessional t-shirt.
Control panel confessional.
So I don't know. I feel like that would have
Dear
made
me,
it a
Ben.
lot more interesting.
That's your suggestion?
Yeah,
What
make
about-
him goth or emo.
Yeah, make him goth. Look, hey, make him goth.
I mean,
Hashtag
I
make
would say-
him goth.
We'll sell Make 'em Goth shirts in our store, which we haven't established yet.
That would have made it more interesting to me. You know?
Right, if he was rebellious rather than just I want to make
Sullen.
Dad happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like his best moment, as you said, is when he's being the most rebellious.
Yeah.
Is when he's freaking out and saying like, "You weren't there. That's why she died."
But it connects that energy to something. Whereas like before, he just feels like a kid who is scared,
Yeah.
you know, and who is too scared.
Mm-hmm.
But like if we had some semblance of like why he is that scared, like he's seen these things in action,
Yeah,
then that, you know, I don't know, that would tie it all up.
that would tie it all up.
The end of the movie, he fucking ghost gets the beacon, and he kills the Ursa.
Yep.
And
then
then
like the movie's like wrap it up because like all M Night movies, this is a 90-minute movie basically. I mean,
Yeah.
it runs 100, but the credits are like 8 minutes of it. So
all his movies are 90 minutes long.
he makes
Yeah.
short movies.
Last Airbender, which had a lot of mythology and has large sections, not just in the beginning, but where there's just like narration and then they gloss over 4 scenes that feel like they were shot in their entirety. Like, part of me wonders if they did shoot the whole opening action sequence.
Yeah.
But
maybe,
I
I
feel
don't know.
like he then just gets in the room. He's like, it's got to be 90 no matter what. Like,
Look, if this
He
movie
never
was
goes up-
longer, it'd be worse. It's a boring movie. Like longer, not better.
redistribution of time.
Yeah,
no, sure.
Yeah, no, I think it depends on in what way is it long.
Yeah,
right,
You know
yeah,
what I
I
mean?
mean,
Like,
yeah.
If you guys are saying, right, there's that whole action sequence at the beginning,
Yeah.
then yeah,
Yeah,
it can be longer.
we need that. That'll make the rest of the movie feel shorter.
Right.
If you
Right.
put that one thing in there in the beginning. That's the thing is, like, this movie could be, like, assuming they did shoot more of that sequence, I feel like this entire movie could be made 25% better if you just took it in the final cut and, like,
Yeah.
reassembled it a little bit.
And also, like, if he would have had another moment to ghost, like, if there was more than one Ursa,
Yeah,
Where he
You know?
tried and failed.
yeah,
Yeah,
that would be dope.
that'd be cool.
that would be cool. Yeah, they
Yeah.
got a lot of ideas, guys.
Yeah.
It's good.
But still, like, kind of.
I mean, still kind of good. I
It's
mean,
like
I will
still-
say, like, the movie started, and I was like, oh, I can't. I don't
Yeah,
like.
this is
I don't
gonna
like.
be brutal.
And then the more it went on, the more I was like, okay, I take back what I was. They're pulling at my heartstrings. They're pulling at them.
So early in the movie, they do the thing where, like, a guy comes up and he's got one leg and he's in a floating space chair, and he goes like, "Cypher Rage, I want to thank you, you
Diego
saved my life."
Klattenhoff, who's in like
Yeah.
Homeland and stuff.
And he goes like, "Sir, stand me up." And they go, "Sir, you can't." He goes, "Stand me up." And they stand him up and he salutes, right?
"It's a decency."
The end of the movie, they get in the rescue ship, they come in, they get Cypher and Katai.
2 broken legs, Cypher's.
2 broken legs.
Yeah, he stands on 2 broken legs.
Yeah, he's he's on
Stand me
he's
up.
on this bed. Katai comes in. We haven't talked about this ever. M. Night always has one poorly placed, horribly executed slow motion
Yes, he
sequence
does.
in every single movie.
Ugh.
Wait, which one was the one in
It's when he sees his dad on the bed. It like goes into slow motion as
Yeah.
Katai's
and
walking
like people,
in.
and some people are walking fast, and other things are
Yeah.
slow.
Yeah.
But he always does it in
You
this
know,
way
in
that
the
looks
happening,
like
it's when the kid gets shot in the head, and Mark
Right.
Wahlberg's like, no, like
in Lady in the Water. It's one of the scrunt moments
Yes.
with Story.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, you're
And
right. He
Signs
does
of
that.
It- He does it in every single. In Unbreakable, it's the moment when he comes up behind the man in orange.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But
Oh,
every
that part I
single
remember.
time, it feels like he didn't shoot it as slow motion.
Right.
He, like, in post was like, can we just slow it down?
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between if you, like, shoot more frames, and it's like you get a nice fluid slow motion. Like Wes Anderson, like a nice fluid slow motion. And this just feels like very herky-jerky, and he's done it in, like, 9 of his 11 movies.
Well,
That moment plays. He sees his dad sees him. He goes, "Stand me up." They stand up. It mirrors the salute thing. And then he doesn't fucking salute. He comes in for a hug. And they cry together. And he goes, "Dad, I think I want to work with Mom instead."
Right.
And they laugh. And that's the very end of the movie.
literally, I'm written and directed and produced by him, or whatever. You know, like
Yeah.
it cuts to the end.
This movie does horribly at the box office.
Yeah, like, let's talk about it. I love talking about box
Horribly.
office. It made 60 mil domestic
Oh,
total.
my God.
Yeah, which
Which it
usually-
should have opened to 60.
That's
That
how
is
Will movies open.
So here we
I mean,
go.
Karate Kid opened to 50.
Griff, let's see how you do.
Okay.
So it's
I always try to name the top
It
5.
opened
of
May 31st, 2013. It opened number 3 at the box office.
Okay, I have to put myself in a time and a place. I was in.
The number 1 movie is in its second week.
Okay, I think I can get this. I was in Cleveland when this movie came out.
Sure, you were shooting draft day.
I was there for 5 weeks and I didn't have any friends, so I went to go see movies a lot by myself.
Sure.
At the mall in Cleveland.
What about Timothy Simons?
Yeah, we became friends later.
Right.
Yeah, but he has kids, so he'd often go home on the
boring.
weekends.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Just,
he'd
like,
fly back
see
home to
his
his
children.
weekends. Yeah, so on the weekends
What a loser.
I didn't have a car, I didn't drive. Our hotel was in the middle of nowhere. I remember when I went to see After Earth, it was right after, or not right after, but it was shortly around after the time of whatchamacallit, the shootings in the Dark Knight Rises theater.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So
right.
I have a backpack on me at all times.
Yeah.
I took an hour-and-a-half bus because that was the closest place playing After Earth, and I wanted to go see it. So I went to
An hour-and-a-half bus?
Yeah,
From Cleveland to where?
I don't know. I was
Okay,
outside
whatever.
of Cleveland. That was the
Okay,
thing. I was
fair enough,
outside
right. You
of
had to go
Cleveland.
into Cleveland or whatever.
Right, whatever it was. And I get to this strip mall in the middle of nowhere where After Earth is playing, and they're like, "Sir, we can't let you in the theater. You have a backpack. Can you leave it in your car?" And I was like, I just took an hour and a half.
So did you not see it?
They ended up locking my backpack in the party
Sure,
space of the
right.
movie theater or something.
Couldn't they just open it and look and
That's
see
what I
that?
said. I was like, dude, I came all this way to see After Earth. Can't you have some empathy for me? You know this
Yeah.
isn't going to end well. But okay, so I saw a lot of movies that
can you
month,
guess?
but by myself. I think number
1.
one. I need to think about number 1 a little more.
Okay, Jesus.
I believe Now You See Me was in the top
That's
5.
great. Number 2.
That's number 2.
It
Okay,
opened
opened the same
week,
weekend.
Beat After Earth. Opens
Number
to
1. So it's
29.
May 31st.
Yeah.
Has Hangover 3 come out?
Hangover 3 is number 6.
Wow, so it dropped that quickly.
Yeah, in its second weekend, it's number 6. That's right. Wow.
God, Hangover 3.
Hangover 3.
Avengers is still number 1, right?
Nope. Avengers is 2013. my
Oh,
friend.
this is 2013. 2013.
I'll put it to you this way.
Yeah.
You like this movie?
I like this movie.
A lot.
And this was the first big May release. Oh, Iron Man 3?
Nope.
Wait, but did Iron Man 3 come out that year?
Maybe. Iron Man 3 is number 7.
Okay, fuck.
Been out for 5 weeks.
I like this movie a lot. Is it a Pixar movie?
No.
It's not a kid's movie?
No.
But I like it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So, I've mentioned it a lot to you.
Probably.
Give me one more hint.
It's a sequel.
Fuck, I was already assuming that.
It's the 6th sequel in a
Oh,
series.
Fast and Furious 6.
Obviously.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What a dummy I am. Of course that's what it was.
In its second week. It has
Okay.
already made 170 mil in 2 weeks.
So, Fast and Furious 6.
Now You See Me. After Earth is number 3, opened to $27 million.
Okay. And then Iron Man is 7.
Yeah.
Hangover is 6.
Yeah.
Can I throw one out? You're going to be impressed that I pulled. Epic?
That's
Is number
5.
4?
I never
5.
thought you would get that.
I was going to get that
Epic.
one.
God, who remembers that?
I
It was
remember
an animated movie.
I remember that it was the one movie I didn't see
Yeah,
alone in
good call.
Cleveland.
Number 4 is Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that movie existed.
Yeah, you've also got Great Gatsby in there. You've got, I believe, a Bollywood movie, number 9. Yeah, Jawani Hai Dawani. I mean, I'm probably getting that wrong. And number 10, Mud.
That's a crazy top 10.
Weird top
actually.
10.
Weird top
Francis
10.
Ha is number 12. It's like a kind of a weird mix of indies and big blockbusters, crappy sequels.
It was a simpler time.
After Earth. It was a simpler time
simpler
3 years
time.
ago.
A
Yeah, so
Thousand
it
Years
ends up
AD.
with 60 mil, which is terrible.
It
It's
does
one
well
of his
overseas.
Awful.
Yeah,
It does
awful. That's an
believe that.
awful show.
It does 180 overseas, which is also bad for Will Smith. It
Yeah.
clears 240 mil worldwide, which is about probably what they spent making
Yeah, I
marketing
think
this
so.
movie.
I think with DVD and whatever factor in, I think it was net neutral,
He has
which is not a good result.
The only movies he's made that did worse are Ali, Focus, Made in America. Concussion, Bagger Vance,
Dramas.
6 Degrees.
Yeah, but Made in America, he's not even counting.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm reading.
But
off the list
he'd
here.
never made a blockbuster that performed this poorly.
Ali is probably the only one you could argue is
drama.
close to that.
I mean,
It costs
yeah,
a lot
it
of
was-
money.
yeah,
but
it's- yeah.
But
Well,
I
he
mean,
has said that this is the biggest disappointment of his career.
Yes.
yeah, that's the thing. And I
Yes.
feel so bad for M. Night because as much as he fucks it up over and over again, every movie he makes, The Happening, Wahlberg comes out of that and he's like, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have made that movie.
Yeah.
Last Airbender, and the people who made The Last Airbender, basically we won't acknowledge that movie even exists.
Right, yeah.
After Earth,
Yeah.
Will Smith is I ruined my son's career. I made a huge mistake.
But I
Jesus.
feel
it's
like-
not like Wild Wild West where like there were a lot of other voices that kind of fucked that movie up. This was Will Smith's movie.
He had always said Wild West was like his biggest regret in life.
yeah.
And they said this replaced it because I dragged my son into it with me.
Yeah.
Like I made it personal. I think I didn't do a terrible job with this movie. I think there's some good sequences. I feel like if that IMDb trivia fact is true, and like I believe it is, whether or not he was literally like the co-director
like
of
you
the
mean
film,
from a visual standpoint, he did fine.
I think the sequences are fairly well put together. If Will himself, Billy, had that much power over the story, you know, and like the world building, those are most of our gripes. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure Will was like, I think it's good if they have no emotion. Like, for whatever reason,
Right.
he studied that. That doesn't seem like an M. Night decision. I think it was a bad pairing to bring him in there because M. Night was in this very stoic mode already at that
Yeah,
point.
and he's an auteur. Like, he needs to do his own stuff.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
much as he's out of his mind at this point, like, he needs
Yeah.
to do his own stuff. Don't make him do someone else's script.
But somehow this movie that was supposed to be like, we're just going to give you, it's a gimme and then you'll get back on your feet,
Yeah.
knocks him down even further.
It's
His
true.
name was not in the poster. They didn't put him in the advertising that much.
Yeah, I'm looking at the poster.
And it really was kind of like the last like big strike for him in a way until he had to rebuild himself with the next movie.
Yeah, I
we'll
wonder
discuss.
if he, you know, he made a choice with the next movie. I wonder if like he had been like, okay, let me try and get another big blockbuster, if he would have been able to do it. I don't know.
Oh, I guarantee you he tried.
You think so?
There was a drama he was supposed to make with Bruce Willis.
Well, that's the one we were talking about.
No, but there was another one that was a solo Bruce Willis. It was him going on a spiritual journey. It wasn't the one with Bradley Cooper. There was a movie that was like, yeah, it sounded really
Yeah,
bad.
why would anybody like?
Yeah.
The thing about a director like M. Night is like if you can get a star to be in a movie,
Mhm.
then you get to make the movie.
Yes.
Like, and that's like how a lot of directors who are sort of big names work. You know, it doesn't matter. Like it's how the Wachowskis work. They
Yeah.
can get big names, and then the studio's like, all right, fine. Like you got the actors.
Yeah.
Like we'll do it. So maybe he could have gotten Bruce Willis or whatever.
But Bruce Willis at that point, I
Yeah, he
don't
makes
think
a
was
lot of crap.
big enough to. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was making so much bullshit. Will Smith after this, you know, he had always been very strategic in his career, and it was
Yeah.
like I do summer movies, and he analyzed like story structure, and it was like a hero always needs to be this and do this. And there were a lot of big films he turned down because he'd be like, I didn't think the story worked on this level.
Right.
Which by his standards was like a very set, like he had a very specific idea of how a hero has to function. That's why they were always, he was sort of the savior, he was the last one, or he had to sacrifice himself, or whatever it was. And then after this movie, sort of the rules go out the window for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he makes this, and then he sort of said it was a big breakthrough moment for him. His father died shortly afterwards. And he said in interviews that like he had this moment where his father died, and he was like, I've been trying to become like the perfect movie star, and I realized it doesn't fucking matter. Like my dad's gonna die no matter what.
Right.
And I brought my son into this, and he sort of threw out the rule book and like focuses a February release
Yeah.
of like a
Yeah.
pretty small.
It's
like,
basic. It feels
this-
like an '80s Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
it's just
yeah.
like, oh, famous guy, yeah, some sexy fun, right?
Yeah.
like,
right. Yeah.
and
yeah.
like Focus is kind of revolutionary for how small it is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, a how small it makes the biracial like romance thing. Like it's so offhand.
Can we also talk about the May December romance thing? What's he
Yeah,
like?
yeah,
20 years
yeah,
older than
yes.
Margot
yeah.
Robbie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on, Bruce.
But
I mean,
also,
Will.
I like that it's like such a small, like contained little thing, and it was just like, oh, here's just like a Will Smith. Here's a spring movie for
Yeah.
you. Here's like a winter Will Smith, and then Concussion was like a drama, but they didn't, you know.
Yeah. Concussion was more of an obvious Oscar play that just didn't
Right.
work.
Yeah.
You can see another year where that would have worked, or
And
just a little bit. But I mean, he hired the worst director for it.
Yes, I do think he's excellent in that movie. I think that movie is just a piece of
Yeah,
garbage.
it's not
So
good
you're
at
saying,
all.
okay?
I'm
I was
saying,
gonna make a tell the truth joke.
yeah, I was
don't
going to do the same thing.
know. I mean, like, I feel like
Why
we
not?
did that,
Who
yeah.
cares? You know, it's March.
His accent in Concussion is better than his accent in After Earth.
No question, because it's based off a
Yeah.
real accent that
But
human
even
beings
that
have.
accent though is not like he doesn't actually sound like the guy.
No,
No,
Which is like
but it is
that's-
at least a consistent accent, I guess.
yeah.
But you are correct.
And then Suicide Squad.
Will Smith's 47, Margot Robbie's 25. Just FYI.
great.
Yeah,
No, that's
yeah.
a good.
Bye,
That's a
guys.
good balance.
Yeah.
Mhm. No, I get that Will Smith's like, you know.
We'd all hit it. I mean, that's a good looking
I mean,
guy.
come on,
think
come on.
about it.
Yeah, think about it. Yeah.
But like Will Smith is pretty close to being the age Barack Obama was when he was elected president.
Yeah.
That's
and
crazy.
like that's like Obama keeps saying like he's got the ears, he should play me.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
that's
well,
gonna happen.
Will wants to play.
That's gonna happen.
He said it a lot.
Yeah.
Of times.
But Suicide Squad looks like something he never would have signed on to do 5 years
Yeah.
ago.
No. Absolutely.
I
not.
think he would have been too image conscious to play like a villain.
Not
Yeah.
only is he in that movie? But
He's
they are not marketing it on the back
It's
of
not
Will
a Will
Smith.
Smith
It
movie.
is
No, 'cause it's
offensive to me that they're not doing that.
Wait, why?
I
No,
wanna
that's
see-
part of
oh,
the point.
I guess
I think it's kind of cool. Like, as
Yeah.
much as I want it to be a Will Smith movie,
I want it to be a Will Smith movie.
it
Damn
makes
it.
me feel good for Will as a person.
Right.
That
It's like,
he's
good
like
for you, man.
ready to just be in an ensemble.
Yeah.
And like crush it. And I guarantee you he's like the lead in that movie.
Yeah, well,
He must
Deadshot,
be.
right, is
Yeah.
one of the focal points.
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
I think it's him and Harley Quinn are like the leads.
Yeah,
in
But
the
they
movie.
also like, I mean, it's
Wait, it's
the
Margot
poster.
Robbie again. I just
Yeah.
put that together. Are they
Yeah.
buddies or something?
I think so. I hope they keep making movies
I
together.
mean, you just sort of when you're hot, you're hot. You know what I mean?
clicking.
and I think they're good together.
I think that Suicide Squad's. I'm not excited for it. I don't think it'll be good.
I
But
don't
I
know.
do think it could be better than Batman v Superman:
I think
Dawn of Justice.
there is almost no chance that
It
I
won't
like
be.
Batman versus Superman more than
I agree with
Suicide
you.
Squad. I'm so like, I tweeted the other day. I don't know if you saw this. It was probably at 3:00 in the morning, knowing me. But I tweeted American Crime Story : Batman v Superman.
I saw that.
And then
yeah.
I tweeted
Batman
the
v
people,
Superman.
the people v O.J. Simpson : Dawn of Justice.
yeah.
And I was like, both titles are better now.
It's the worst. the worst
that's-
title. It's the worst title.
That's the number one worst title I've ever heard. I was breaking this down the other day. The V thing is so pretentious,
Yeah.
right?
We've talked about it
Just
on
call
this
the movie
podcast.
Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. The subtitle, you imagine that someone's in the theater and the title comes up and it's Batman v Superman. They go, pass. Then fade in, Dawn of Justice. Oh shit, justice is dawning in this movie? Well, wait a second. Now you got me. If justice is going to
About to be
dawn,
some justice happening. I'm all about opening day. Can I get my Fandango out right now?
but James, let's clarify. Justice isn't happening. It's just dawning.
It's dawning.
It's dawning.
No, I don't want justice to happen. I want it to begin. I want it to just kind of start, like kind of rise a little bit.
I like a prelude to justice.
Oh boy.
Worst title of all time. After Earth, I give it a B-.
I give it like a C-.
Okay, I think I'll hover.
You'd be in the middle.
Yeah, maybe
A
I'll
C
do
plus.
like maybe I'll do like a B. Maybe I'll do a B, just like a solid B.
Oh wow. Okay, so you're in the
A
middle.
gentleman's B, yeah.
Mhm.
I'd say but that's like 2.5 stars, but it's like fun. But whatever, it's fine. It's like not a lot of fun to watch,
I don't think I
took,
ever want to watch this movie again.
No, I'm glad I took 3 years to
thing
watch
is,
it again, but it
I
kind of
might watch it again. Is the thing because I want to not like it, but after the first 25 to 30 minutes or so, I'm on board.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. It doesn't help that I have watched too many M. Night movies in this last month.
God, I'm
You know?
yeah.
Like if I had come across this on cable, maybe the mood would have been a little different.
I used to be a huge M. Night fan. Like
Amen.
a,
We
all
like a
did.
We loved him.
huge fan.
He was
Yeah.
my guy.
Unbreakable
So when did
is
he
my
lose
shit.
you? Unbreakable.
We're on the same page
which
about
is-
it. Unbreakable is one of my favorite movies ever.
And then I think I first started to be like, I don't know, with The Village.
Mhm.
And then Late in
in
Water,
Water.
I like didn't go see it in the theater. I just bought the DVD.
You
and was like-
blind bought it.
And I was like, yeah, let me see this. I love Paul Giamatti. I love
Sure.
Bryce Dallas Howard. This is great. But M. Night Shyamalan. And then that was just not good at all.
No.
So yeah. And then the happening was when I just stopped going to
Yeah.
see his movie.
There definitely like there's a point in every week now for me where I'm like, I gotta watch.
Yeah.
gotta
I'm
watch
very excited that we are now done with
It
that.
feels like tax day is
When I
once
finish-
a week for
when
me.
I
It's like,
finish
oh,
the-
I gotta fucking do that thing. Oh my god.
When I finished The Visit, which I have finished, there was a palpable sense of relief, especially since I
Yeah.
love all of the movies of our next director.
Yeah, we're doing the
directors.
Wachowskis next,
Oh, great.
which is like we like those.
I actually
Yeah.
like those
Yeah.
movies.
Those movies are like controversial, but like
Yeah.
we like them. You know?
So I'm excited.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Well, James, thank you so much for being on the
Yeah,
show.
thanks for having me.
James, it was a pleasure.
You're the
Yeah.
best in the biz.
Mhm.
Anything you want to plug?
Black Man Can't Jump in Hollywood.
It's a great podcast.
Great podcast. The best.
Find us on Spreaker, iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm at James Third Comedy on Twitter and also any social media platform at James Third.
Yeah. And you're doing lots of stuff. You're stand up. You're on a sketch team here at the UCB.
Yeah, yeah.
You're around.
I'm around.
Yeah.
Look me up.
David, anything you want to plug?
Anything I want to plug?
Yeah.
I interviewed Gerard Carmichael.
Oh,
That was
hey.
fun.
That's really cool.
That's dope.
That'll go up on the Atlantic at some point. I mean, you're literally asking me something to plug. That's the last thing I did. He was a great interview.
Yeah, it seems like it would be.
Interviews usually, they can just be so awful. Like, or the guy can just obviously be so busy.
Yeah.
And or like is being like handed a phone or you're getting to it and they're just like, Yeah, so, like they sort of click into the, no, Gerard Carmichael just wants to talk about shit all day.
He wants to talk. Yeah.
And that's why he makes that awesome show that's just about people talking about shit.
People talking, yeah.
So everyone watch the Carmichael Show on NBC Sunday nights.
I 6, maybe 7 years ago was in LA and did my friend's stand-up show, and he was on the bill as well. Yeah. And we were backstage, and he went up first. And came out afterwards, and everyone was like, "Oh, hey, how'd it go out there?" And he was like, "I don't know, I did all right. I feel like, no, I'm like, I feel like I haven't been that funny recently." And he's
wow.
"But I feel like everyone else is really funny these days." And he was like, "I'm just I feel like I'm doing a really good job of watching other funny people. I'm going to these shows and just watching other people be funny, and I'm I don't want to stop doing comedy because I get to watch all these other people be funny." And I was like, that's the most endearing thing I've ever heard a stand-up say. He had this excitement like it was Christmas morning, and he was like, I'm sorry I have to leave because it's sure, you guys are really funny. I just want to watch other funny people.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy's the fucking best.
He's the best.
He's the purest human being.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a lot of praise for Gerard Carmichael.
I like him a lot. I'd like to plug the Carmichael Show.
He's a great show.
It's
Do you
on
guys
NBC
watch it?
and
It's very good.
I've seen all of the first season, so
Yeah.
Carmichael.
Second season, I would say, it's just sort of very consistent, but maybe even a little better. I also asked him a lot about Mike Scully, who works on that show.
Interesting.
Because he
Former
loves
Simpsons
The Simpsons.
writer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
said Mike Scully's the coolest. Anyway.
Good plug.
I
Watch
gotta
the
write that
Carmichael
interview
Show. Follow James on Twitter.
Follow
Listen
James
to
on
his
Twitter. I'm
podcast.
David L. Sims on Twitter. We never plug our Twitter.
Oh, yeah. I'm Griff Lightning. I'm also
Rate and review. Listen to other UCB podcasts.
Oh, yeah. Also, I'm Griff Lightning on the Star Wars Card Trader app. A listener recently traded me a good TC-14 card. I appreciate that.
Very cool.
Very cool. I don't know. I'm getting so punchy right now. We have to record a second episode today. Our next episode, The Village, The Visit.
The Visit Village.
The final M. Night Shyamalan movie. We're going to do a bonus episode with The Buried Secret and some other, I think, appendix type material.
Jesus. When are we going to do that?
I don't know. But
well, we'll see if we do that.
Yeah.
I want to move on, but whatever.
I want to do one more to wrap stuff up because I think I can pull off some.
We might do that later.
guests and
God
stuff.
knows when we'll do that.
Our next episode is The Visit with Gas Lewis Peitzman of BuzzFeed.
BuzzFeed. Yeah, BuzzFeed.com.
We'll be recording that in half an hour, but you folks will listen to it a week from now. And love you all.
Yep.
And
As always.
And as always, just keep ghosting.
Keep ghosting.
Keep ghosting.
This has been a UCB comedy production. Check out our other shows on the UCB Comedy Podcast Network.